Hello, and welcome to Entangled, the podcast where we explore the science of consciousness, the true nature of reality, and what it means to be a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm your host, Jordan Youkilis, and this is part one of the new Entangled series, Eyes Wide Open. Eyes Wide Open continues the conversation I had in episode 94 with John Coffey regarding Stanley Kubrick's film, Eyes Wide Shut. Part one of the series begins with an overview of Eyes Wide Shut and the mysterious circumstances surrounding Kubrick's death. We continue with the testimony of human trafficking survivor Fiona Barnett, Candy Girl. Next, we discuss Meryl Streep, the Grand Dame of Hollywood Babylon. From there, Isaac Kappy burns down Hollywood Babylon. Then we discuss Harvey Weinstein, the Pig Monster. Part 1 concludes with Ronan Farrow, Rose McGowan, and #MeToo. Outros available for this and all episodes at entangledpodcast.substack.com. Music from the show available on the Spotify playlist Entangled the Vibes. If you like the show, please drop a 5-star review and subscribe on Substack, YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, X, or wherever you listen to podcasts. This is the biggest series we've published yet at Entangled. The content that follows is both intense and challenging, to put it mildly. But it's well past time we expose the men behind the curtain. Because as it will hopefully be made clear throughout this series, child trafficking is run as a single integrated world operation. This operation is coordinated by the CIA. And that as we expose the kingpins running this syndicate, we'll find that one leads to another, to another, to another. One leads to many. Please enjoy the episode. Stanley Kubrick and Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick's final film, Eyes Wide Shut, was released July 19, 1999 by Warner Brothers. Eyes Wide Shut stars Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman as Dr. Bill and Alice Harford and is considered by many to be Kubrick's magnum opus. The film explores taboo subjects about society's elites, including pedophilia, mind control, human trafficking, and satanic ritualistic abuse. IMDb provides the following plot synopsis. Quote, Dr. Bill Harford, Tom Cruise, and his wife Alice, Nicole Kidman, a young couple from New York, go to a Christmas party given by a wealthy patient, Victor Ziegler, played by Sidney Pollack. There, Bill runs into an old friend, Nick Nightingale, played by Todd Field, who dropped out of medical school and now plays piano professionally. While a Hungarian male tries to pick up Alice, two young models try to take Bill off for a tryst. He is interrupted by a call from his host upstairs, who had been having sex with a young woman who has overdosed on a speedball. Next evening at home, while smoking marijuana, Bill's wife asks if he had sex with the two girls. After Bill reassures her, she asks if he is ever jealous of men who are attracted to her. As the discussion gets heated, he states that he thinks women are more faithful than men. She rebuts him, telling him of a recent family she had about a naval officer they had encountered on a vacation. Disturbed by Alice's revelations, Bill is just then called on a house call to the deathbed of the father of a now engaged female friend, who impulsively kisses him and tells him she loves him. Putting her off, he takes a walk down the streets of New York and meets a prostitute named Domino, played by Vanessa Shaw, and goes to her apartment. Their encounter is awkward, but as they begin to kiss, he is interrupted by a phone call from his wife, after which he calls off the encounter. Bill goes on to meet his friend Nick at the Sonata Cafe. There he learns that Nick has a later engagement that evening where he must play the piano while blindfolded. Nick tells him about the beautiful women he glimpsed when the blindfold slipped at his last gig, allowing him to surmise some of the goings-on. Bill presses for details. To gain admittance, one needs a costume, a mask, and a password. Bill drives late at night to a shop called Rainbow Fashions. Having been the doctor of the previous owner, he offers the new owner, Mr. Millett, played by Rod Serbedzija, a generous amount of money to rent to him now. Searching for a costume, the owner catches his teenage daughter, played by Lily Sobieski, with two Japanese men and expresses outrage at their lack of sense of decency. He threatens to call the police. With the costume, Bill takes a taxi out to a country mansion where a quasi-religious sexual ritual is taking place. One woman comes to Bill, takes him aside, and warns him that he does not belong there. He then meets another girl in whose company he walks through a few rooms where an orgy is taking place. The first woman catches up with Bill and insists he is in terrible danger, for they suspect that he is an outsider. Bill is then interrupted by a masked porter who tells him that the taxi driver who is waiting outside wants to speak with him. However, the porter takes him to the main room where the masked, red-cloaked master of ceremonies confronts Bill with a question about a second password which Bill is unable to answer. The master of ceremonies insists that he kindly remove his mask, then asks that he remove his clothes. The masked young woman who had tried to warn Bill now intervenes and insists that she be punished instead of him. As she is taken away, Bill asks what is going to happen to her. The master cryptically replies her fate is sealed, and Bill is ushered from the mansion and warned by the red-cloaked master not to tell anyone about what happened there. Just before dawn, Bill arrives home guilty and confused, where his wife Alice is now awake and tells him of a troubling dream in which he and she were in a deserted city without their clothes. She felt frightened and ashamed while he went off to try to find their clothes. After he left, she felt better, finding herself still naked in a beautiful garden. The naval officer emerged, stared at her, and the two of them began making love, surrounded by many other couples doing the same. She then started having sex with many of those men and laughing at the idea of Bill seeing her with them. The next morning, Bill goes in search of Nick. After he locates his hotel from the nightclub owner, the desk clerk, played by Alan Cumming, there tells Bill that a bruised and frightened Nick had checked out a few hours earlier after returning with two large, dangerous-looking men. The clerk also mentions that Nick tried to pass an envelope to them when they were leaving, but that one of the men noticed this and intercepted it. Then Nick was driven away by the two men in a limousine parked outside the hotel, with no mention as to where they were going. Before going to work, Bill goes to return the costume, and the shop proprietor, with his daughter by his side, states he can do other favors for Bill and it needn't be a costume. The Japanese men leave. Milich implies to Bill that he has sold his daughter for prostitution. Bill has misplaced the mask, and so is billed for it. Bill returns to the mansion in his own car and is greeted at the gate by a man with a typed note warning him to cease and desist his inquiries. At home, Bill thinks about Alice's recounting of the scene while he watches her tutor their daughter. That evening, Bill goes to the home of the prostitute with a gift. Her roommate greets him, telling him Domino has just discovered she has HIV. Bill leaves and notices that a well-dressed man is following him. After losing his pursuer, Bill reads a newspaper story about a beauty queen, Amanda Curran, who had died of a drug overdose. She is the Mandy he had treated at Ziegler's party. He goes to the hospital claiming to be her doctor and examines her body in the morgue. Afterwards, Ziegler summons Bill to his house and tells him that he knows all the events of the past night and day. Ziegler was one of those involved with the ritual orgy, and his own position with the secret society has been jeopardized by Bill's intrusion. Bill is now concerned with the death of Mandy, whom Ziegler has identified as the woman at the party who'd sacrificed herself to prevent Bill's punishment, as well as the disappearance of Nick. Ziegler also insists that the punishment had nothing to do with Mandy's death. She was a junkie, and she really has died from another accidental drug overdose. Bill clearly does not know if Ziegler is telling him the truth, but he accepts it anyway. When Bill returns home, he sees the mask he had rented on his pillow next to his sleeping wife. He breaks down in tears as Alice awakens. He decides to tell her the whole truth of the past 2 days. The next morning, they go Christmas shopping. His wife muses that recent events do not define their life, and they should be grateful that they have survived and are still together, and that she loves him. She then says they need to, in her own words, fuck as soon as possible. End quote. The film's director, Stanley Kubrick, was born in July of 1928 in New York City and is regarded as one of the greatest and most influential filmmakers in history. He began his career as a photographer for Look magazine before moving into movies. Kubrick's first feature film, Fear and Desire, was released in 1952. He directed a total of 13 films over the following 47 years. Along the way, he had 3 marriages, with the final marriage to actress Christiane Harlan. Stanley and Christiane raised 2 daughters, Anya and Vivian Kubrick, and Stanley's stepdaughter, Katharina Kubrick, who was born to Christiane and her first husband. Stanley Kubrick never lived to see Eyes Wide Shut's premiere. The director died of a heart attack in his sleep on March 7, 1999, just 5 days after the film had been screened by Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and 2 Warner Brothers executives. During the filming of the movie, and at the time of Kubrick's death, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were also married in real life. Shortly after Kubrick's death, his starring couple would act sad about, grieve for, their friend.
I shared 3 years of my life with this man, and
it must have been an unbelievable thing to have heard that he died so soon after the film had been finished. What was that to your immediate reaction?
My immediate reaction was one of absolute shock. And disbelief. And even when I went to the funeral and going to the funeral, I was not in a good way, and I was very concerned about Nick and very concerned about Christian and his family, and concerned about the movie, because I know what it meant to him and what it meant to me, and my wife, my co-star, my love, and I still even went to the funeral thinking, somewhere it was, it was ridiculous, because somewhere still inside I thought, and Nick and I were taught, that it's not true. Somewhere deep inside I wanted to believe this is not true, that I'm going to go and I will show up at the house and he will be there. It was illogical, and it wasn't something that I actually, but somewhere there was a part of me that went there, and not until we went into the room where we'd have dinner with Christian and we drank, when Nick and I were first there, and the fireplace, and there was Stanley and Christian, and was the coffin, and it just was absolutely absurd.
He gave me the time.
What was your...
And I just...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, because we're under a great time pressure, and I'd love to talk to you for half an hour. It'd be fascinating. What was your immediate reaction when you heard that he died?
Shock, and I didn't believe it. And I didn't want to believe it, because it just seemed wrong. Didn't seem like the right time. He seemed to have too many other things to do and say. And it's still very, sorry. Oh.
I'll move from that just for a second. You deliberately spent a lot of... I'm sorry to bring that on you.
No, it's all right.
You spent a lot of time with him deliberately.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you want a hanky?
It's fine.
And you learnt a lot. And I have the feeling that he became a sort of a father figure for you, professionally speaking, and probably in a sense personally as well. What did you learn from him? What could you pass on to... That time that you spent with him now must seem enormously valuable to you. What did it mean to you, that time?
I think it changed the way I view films, the way I view filmmaking.
Hey, everybody grieves differently. Kubrick's death wasn't a total loss for Tom Cruise. Terry Semel, chairman of Warner Brothers, requested Cruise take over every detail of Eyes Wide Shut's distribution, marketing, and publicity following the director's death. Eyes Wide Shut's topics, the strange circumstances surrounding Kubrick's death, and the mounting evidence that elites are engaged in institutionalized pedophilia have led to endless conspiracy theories about the film. In my conversation with John Coffey, John went through the film scene by scene and explained the esoteric meaning embedded within it. I highlighted the testimony of MKUltra child trafficking survivors Fiona Barnett and Annika Lucas. Barnett witnessed members of the cast of Eyes Wide Shut engaged in cult activities, while Lucas was trafficked to the highest levels of this cabal. Fiona Barnett, Candy Girl. On July 18, 2018, Fiona Barnett shared her testimony with the International Tribunal for Natural Justice's Commission on Human Trafficking and Child Sex Abuse. Barnett described her lived experience and the structure of this Luciferian child trafficking network.
My name is Fiona Barnett. I was born Fiona Ray Holozak, or it's pronounced Holubczyk in Polish, on the 28th of October 1969 in Sydney, Australia. I'm a victim of child trafficking through the CIA, Luciferian ritual abuse, and Project MKUltra. Child trafficking is run as a single integrated world operation. This operation is coordinated by the CIA in collaboration with British and Australian intelligence services. Retired NYPD Detective James Rothstein was appointed to the first US task force to investigate this child trafficking operation, which, he found, went all the way to the White House. Detective Rothstein found that the CIA were behind a blackmail operation in which child prostitutes were used to honey trap and compromise politicians, military brass, top businessmen, and key government officials. Rothstein, who arrested the key Watergate perpetrator, said Watergate solely concerned this human compromise racket and specifically was an attempt to obtain a list of compromised pedophile VIPs and their proclivities that was held at the Democratic National Headquarters. I personally spoke with Rothstein, who said he knew of an identical VIP pedophile ring that existed back here in Australia during that time, and that an Australian intelligence officer named Peter Osborne knew the details of this. The Australian wing of this child trafficking operation is coordinated by ASIO, which is the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation. It's the Australian equivalent of the CIA. During the 1970s and 80s, Labor Party politician Kim Beazley Sr. headed ASIO's child trafficking operation. Under Kim Beazley's administration, I was prostituted at age 6 years to a pedophile orgy at Parliament House in Canberra, where I was raped by then Prime Minister Gough Whitlam, Attorney General Lionel Murphy, and Governor General John Kerr. During the same excursion, future Prime Minister Bob Hawke raped me in a suburban backyard near Canberra, and former President Richard Nixon raped me in the back of a USA CIA military plane at Australia's main military airport, the one where Air Force One lands if it visits Australia. After this, I was child sex trafficked from Sydney Airport to California, USA, in a cargo plane. I was gassed and stuffed in a wooden crate like an animal. During this trip, I was raped by media founder Ted Turner at a pedophile party held at Disneyland, and I was trafficked to the annual summer camp at Bohemian Grove, attended by notable politicians, businessmen, and other VIPs. I was raped by Reverend Billy Graham in a pink bubble-themed cabin at Bohemian Grove. Billy Graham told me that his good buddy Richard Nixon had recommended me to him. At Bohemian Grove, I was one of a group of children dressed as teddy bears and hunted for sport by men in the forest to the theme song Teddy Bear's Picnic. I also witnessed the ritual murder of a woman by male guests dressed in black Luciferian robes. I will now lay the foundations for explaining the relationship between pedophilia, child trafficking, ritual abuse, mind control practices, and the CIA's Project MKUltra. What people must appreciate is that the Nazis were Luciferians. During their height of power, the Nazis conducted Luciferian rituals in broad daylight in the streets of Germany. Luciferianism is a secret, multi-generational religion with its roots in ancient Babylon and Egypt. Luciferians worship various ancient pagan gods, most importantly Lucifer, but also Moloch, Baal, Dagon, Imhotep, Horus, Isis, Anubis, and Seth. Nazism drew out and promoted those Slavics who secretly practiced Luciferianism. My grandparents and the other Slavic war criminals who were granted asylum in Australia congregated here to covertly practice their brand of Nazi Luciferianism in Australia. Over time, the descendants of these Luciferian pedophile refugees collaborated with existing Luciferian dynasties such as the Kidmans, Conlons, Overtons, Huxleys, Cardins and Cumpstons, and infiltrated Australian government and influenced Australian law and policy. This is why right has now been confused with wrong, why the government bodies support the perpetrator instead of the victim of crime, and why our legislation is increasingly reflecting Luciferian pedophile doctrine. Luciferianism is arranged according to a hierarchical structure which vaguely resembles a caste system. At the very top sit 13 family dynasties, including the Rothschilds and the British royal family. These are recognised by cult members as demigods. Below these lines sit approximately 300 Luciferian bloodlines who are generally high IQ, although this tends to have been watered down in some families due to intermarriage. Below this group sit the commoners who can never attain higher status because they lack the desired bloodline. These are your random covens based on nationality. For example, there's a strong Scottish coven in Bundaberg, which is a major centre of Luciferian activity in Australia. They can be organised according to sexual orientation. For example, Bond University, where I attended and was attacked, has a strong lesbian coven. And gang membership, such as the bikie gangs, or you can just now have your self-styled whatever goes covens these days. It is from these lower lines that the cult obtains breeders, women who are forced to breed unregistered babies for sacrifice and sex trafficking. We refer to these bottom feeders as coven scum. Their behaviour is usually barbaric and requires constant management to stop them exposing the cult, and they show no respect for those in the caste above them. There is much jealousy and animosity directed by these lower members toward the bloodliners. I stem from one of the 300 bloodlines via my biological paternal grandparents, not the Holozaks, who had the IQ of a toilet block, and so resented my heritage and status within the cult. I even question whether Helen Holozak is my biological grandmother and whether she used my father as just another prop to escape Europe. Helen lied to the European immigration authorities by saying Peter Holozak was her husband and the father of my father. Child rape, torture and murder are routinely practiced within Luciferianism for various reasons. One, these acts are established traditions thought to appease their god Lucifer. Two, some members get off on raping and murdering children, but not all members. The ones who like it were conditioned to be sexually aroused by it through being abused and exposed to such practices as children. Three, it is believed to bestow power on the practitioner. Sodomy is called the fountain of youth and is thought to transfer the child's youth to the abusing adult. Luciferianism is a cult. Cult indoctrination alone is a strong enough influence on human behaviour. But the impact of indoctrination is reinforced by fear of the consequences of betraying or exposing the cult. The number one role of Luciferianism is there is no such thing as Luciferianism. At age 6 years, I was well taught this lesson. I was taken into a national park. There I witnessed a man who was called a traitor have each of his 4 limbs tied to 4 different vehicles which drove at high speed in opposite directions. That incident taught me to never talk about the Luciferian cult in which I was raised. Mind control is a Luciferian tradition stemming back thousands of years. Luciferian Bathurst City Hall crime gave me grounds for leaving the cult. I had just turned 16 when I was summoned before the Luciferian Grand Council that met in Sydney University's McLaurin Hall. Sydney University hosts the Australian headquarters of the OTO, the Ordo Templis Orientis, which Anthony Kidman and my other key perpetrators were members of. When I was aged 9 years, I witnessed Anthony Kidman preside over the ritual murder of a young boy in Sydney University's Great Hall. Nicole Kidman was 11 years old at the time, and she was present sitting in the front row during this murder. This was an OTO-themed ritual murder with Kidman and 4 others dressed in rather camp theatrical coloured robes based on the Eastern Star pentagram, which dominates the Aleister Crowley Thelema offshoots, including Freemasonry and the OTO. The Freemasons were also involved in my abuse. I was subjected to Luciferian pedophile rituals at various Masonic temples, including Anthony Kidman's home lodge at 317 Pacific Highway, North Sydney. My leaving the Sydney-based Luciferian cult left them in a pickle. A Grand Dame assumes the position by drawing in the dying breath of the previous Grand Dame. During my Grand Council hearing, Anthony Kidman warned me I would amount to nothing without the cult's background and without the cult's support. True to Kidman's word, my ability in and pursuit of every one of my interest areas has been thwarted by cult members to this day. Bond University's criminal behaviour was the final straw, which prompted me to go public about my child abuse. The corrupt Queensland Psychology Board support of UK sexual predator Katarina Fritzen's false and vexatious notification against me prompted me to lodge my own complaint against Sydney registered psychologist Anthony Kidman to the New South Wales Psychology Board and the New South Wales AHPRA office. Anthony Kidman was dead within weeks of my notification against him. His personal security team informed Sydney paparazzi that Anthony Kidman was placed on immediate suicide watch following my notification against him. You see, I was not the first to complain to the health board about Anthony Kidman. I have since been contacted by other Anthony Kidman victims of rape, torture and unethical hypnosis. Many of these victims were child sex trafficked through Hillsong Church. I found a strong link between Anthony Kidman and Hillsong Church. Hillsong Church was founded by pedophile Frank Houston for the sole purpose of procuring child trafficking victims and producing kiddie porn snuff films. Hillsong ritually abused children. The Luciferian pedophiles have infiltrated all areas of Australian government, education, health and human services. They now have control over the police, media, universities, defence forces, parliament, schools, health services, churches of all denominations, psychiatric hospitals and fake child abuse advocacy organisations like Bravehearts. You cannot possibly understand their pervasiveness unless you were raised in their world.
In her witness testimony, Barnett has exposed many elites involved in child trafficking. This includes Anthony Kidman, the father of Hollywood superstar Nicole Kidman, who played the leading lady of Eyes Wide Shut, Alice Hartford. Fiona Barnett has been testifying publicly for over a decade, and she published Eyes Wide Open, a book about her abuse, in 2019. And I have to say, I love that title. She then updated the book for a 2020 lockdown edition before taking a 5-year hiatus from media appearances. I'll now share sections of her book. Quote, Watergate was pedogate. My October 2015 press conference, delivered in response to Senator Bill Heffernan's announcement that a former Prime Minister was a pedophile, was statistically the most popular story on the Sydney Morning Herald website that day, although the news site's computer technicians prevented it from displaying as the most viewed article. Another of Prime Minister Bob Hawke's sex assault victims, the daughter of Hawke's architect Kevin Borland, agreed to address a follow-up conference with me but pulled out last minute. The USA National Enquirer intended to run a full front-page story about Anthony Kidman being a pedophile until they received a vicious legal threat from his daughter, Nicole Kidman. A journalist and her photographer husband flew up from Sydney to interview me for a major Australian magazine until Nicole Kidman took a Scientology approach to managing me. And a UK journalist traveled around the country interviewing me and 2 other victims of Anthony Kidman for the Daily Mail until one of the victims, whose parents were friends with Kidman, was threatened and subsequently withdrew his permission last minute. Nicole Kidman's PR team shut down my mainstream media exposure by drawing on her lucrative contracts with Australia's media outlets. So I turned to the internet. Armed with a simple meme app and a right-brain talent for lyric writing, I launched my own social media campaign. I spent 5 years in front of the computer communicating with hundreds of victims and supporters, many fake, many genuine. I hit the conspiracy theory jackpot when David Icke featured an enormous photograph of me in my story during his Australian speaking tour. My tactics worked. Online articles about Nicole Kidman, where the public was free to leave negative comments, were followed by streams of intelligent attacks on her heavily orchestrated stardom. I realized my impact when Kidman's PR team paid the Daily Mail plus a morning television show to feature an article tellingly titled, "Shame on You, Australia, Stop Hating on Nicole Kidman." People don't hate Nicole Kidman as an individual. They hate what the Harvey Weinstein scandal subsequently highlighted, that Hollywood rewards something other than the ability to sing, dance, or act. Despite everything the pedophile network threw at me, my story still got out there, such that if you Google Anthony Kidman's name, the words child abuse soon follow. Yet no amount of alternative media success can match a complete break into mainstream news. So I admitted defeat. I stopped posting and did not bother checking my blog sites. My perpetrators were members of the University of Sydney OTO. Nicole Kidman and I witnessed her father, Anthony Kidman, perform an OTO ritual murder of a 5-year-old boy in the University of Sydney Great Hall. The ritual reflected Aleister Crowley's quote, "For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force. A male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory and suitable victim. But the bloody sacrifice, though more dangerous, is more efficacious, and for nearly all purposes, human sacrifice is the best." End quote. MKUltra transferred to Australia. Anthony Kidman also returned to Australia in 1972. John W. Gittinger regularly visited Australia to oversee MKUltra and trained and supervised MKUltra perpetrators, including Anthony Kidman. Gittinger used me to demonstrate his methods. MKUltra's 1971 public exposure in the U.S. preceded mass IQ testing in New South Wales government schools, recruitment in government children's homes and other institutions, and the removal of all psychiatric patients from Milson Island in the Hawkesbury River north of Sydney, which became an MKUltra research facility. I deduced the CIA transferred the operation to socialist Australia, where it was easier to conduct clandestine child recruitment. Anthony Kidman. Kidman studied psychology at the University of Sydney during Martin Orne's 1960 lectureship. From 1969 to 1972, Benjamin Weiss supervised Kidman in the Laboratory of Preclinical Pharmacology at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, Washington, D.C. St. Elizabeth's was an LSD research hub and served the Scottish Rite Schizophrenic Research Program, SRSRP. The lab was co-founded by LSD mind control researcher Joel Elks and run by Erminio Costa, who made critical discoveries regarding LSD effects on the human brain. Costa, Elks, and Weiss attended Scottish Rite-sponsored events on schizophrenia. Weiss later received hundreds of thousands of dollars in SRSRP research funding, and he chaired an SRSRP event. Kidman, Costa, and Weiss published a research paper together in 1971. Candyland Program. Having stripped me of my sense of self, Gittinger filled the void with a sense of ego and pride. He did this using Candyland programming. I walked beside Gittinger through a Candyland along a path lined with giant candy canes that led to a distant castle. Inside the Candyland castle, Gittinger sat me on a throne inscribed with the title Princess. He placed a crown on my head and a serpent scepter in my hand. He repeated, "You are the chosen one. You are royalty. You are special. You are of the ruling class." This was Princess and Pride programming, designed to instill pride in my high IQ, Luciferian bloodline, and Grand Dame candidacy. I used to think Gittinger used a life-size Candyland set with props, but today, as mainstream technology catches up with top-secret military technology that I experienced decades ago, I conclude it is plausible the military had the technology to produce a virtual reality Candyland. I saw Disney, Candyland, and copyright printed on the side of a video cassette taper box. One of my therapy drawings from the Candyland castle featured a treasure chest containing a key. This was a secret backdoor to my programming that Gittinger installed. He kept the secret from Anthony Kidman, whom he rightly described as a fucking idiot following a critical incident when I was 10 years old. My mother spent most of my 10th year in hospital due to lead poisoning. I consequently spent all holidays and weekends at my evil grandparents and getting home. I have relatively little memory of that time due to the cult's unprecedented access to me. I was repeatedly electrocuted and raped in a laboratory beneath Ansto Lucas Heights at different developmental milestones. Gittinger used me to demonstrate the technique to a team of trainees dressed in white lab coats, including Anthony Kidman. First, I was electrocuted until I became still. "The subject is now ripe for programming," Gittinger explained, as he lifted and dropped my limp arm. Then everyone left the room while Kidman stood at the bottom of the hospital bed and raped me. He flapped my limp limbs. He flapped my limp legs together like butterfly wings as he penetrated me. Following this, Gittinger electrically stimulated specific parts of my brain to create implicit behavioral responses. Hillsong, ritual abuse, and Anthony Kidman. I chose Hillsong as my case example to illustrate a point. Where there is smoke, there is fire. Whenever you see an institution engaging in child abuse cover-up implicating police commissioners and prime ministers, know that the true story involves ritual abuse, mind control, and CIA child trafficking. Hillsong took a Scientology approach to managing Frank Houston's child rape victims. Hillsong pumped millions of dollars, leached from its mind control masses and disgusted Australian taxpayers into stalking, harassing, and legally threatening victims, and bribing AOG executives into assisting the cover-up. This is because, like Scientology, Hillsong is a CIA cult cutout. I have been contacted by multiple Hillsong victims or their parents/therapist/pastor whose testimonies combine to create a clear picture of Hillsong's connection to Anthony Kidman and CIA child trafficking. Here are some brief examples. 1. A 24-year-old woman told me that Hillsong prostituted her from age 2 to 22 years, and that Hillsong delivered her to Anthony Kidman, who subjected her to mind control procedures. 2. A therapist told me her client was subjected to ritual abuse and mind control perpetrated by Anthony Kidman by Hillsong. 3. A mother said Hillsong targeted, abducted, prostituted, and murdered multiple children and subjected her daughter to MKUltra soldier/assassin training. She supplied me with supporting documentary evidence that New South Wales Victim Services compensated her 2 children for witnessing Hillsong ritually murder 10-year-old Helen Charipidis in an upstairs room inside Hillsong Church during a 1988 Christmas service. The mother also said Hillsong youth workers abducted 10-year-old Samantha Knight, whose disappearance was falsely pinned on a scapegoat. The bodies of Samantha Knight and Helen Charipidis were never found. Both girls attended Hillsong Kids Club prior to their disappearance. UK prostitutes fantasist victims for whistleblowing. The UK's latest tactic to silence victims of government child trafficking is to prosecute them for reporting the crimes committed against them to the police. Their modus operandi involves the DPP charge the victim with perverting the course of justice, while the government-controlled media slander the victim as a fantasist who fabricates witness testimony for the money. The UK government tried this on Ben Fellows, former UK child actor and Westminster sex trafficking victim. Ben Fellows said his agent Sylvia Young solicited him at age 14 years for sexual abuse by Tom Cruise. Fellows was subsequently targeted for false arrests and slander by the media, who described the victim as an inventive and sometimes persuasive fantasist. In 2015, the UK government unsuccessfully prosecuted Ben Fellows for perverting the course of justice for providing a 2012 police witness statement to Operation Fairbank. OTO ritual crucifixion. I was 9 when I witnessed Anthony Kidman preside over the ritual flaying of a young blonde boy in the Great Hall. Nicole Kidman was 11 years old and seated in the front row during the murder. This was an OTO-themed ritual murder, with Kidman and 4 others dressed in camp theatrical robes colored according to the Eastern Star pentagram, which dominates Freemasonry and its related cults. Veronica. Researcher Steve McMurray located the identity of the Sydney Grand Dame I knew as Veronica, or Ronnie. Here is the description I provided Steve. Tall, attractive, slender, with red hair and white skin. Extremely intelligent and academic. Private school educated. Kind with moral integrity. Good at the arts, music, history, English, and languages. Associated with Sancta Sophia College, University of Sydney. Graduated University of Sydney. Her parents owned a property and horses west of Sydney. I could not decide whether she was a school teacher, University of Sydney lecturer, or supervised the students at a girls' student college. She died during a ritual at St. Mary's Cathedral when she was 45 and I was 14 years old. Armed with this list to guide his search, Steve McMurray identified Patricia Ann Conlon, née Carden. I last visited Ann Conlon in her Sancta Sophia living quarters when I was 14 years old. Her dorm featured a lounge area, ensuite, and a 4-post bed. We ate in the communal dining room, where Ann passed me off as her niece. During that visit, Ann told me she had been discovered and was wanted for treason. It was time for her to go, she told me. I begged her, "Don't leave me with those men." but she thought I could fend for myself since I just completed my training in the USA. Anne explained to me that she had lost everything, was tired of hurting children, and had nothing to live for. She made a blood pact with me and made me swear to go through the necessary ritual. She bequeathed to me her black onyx jewelry set, which was subsequently stored in Nana's bedroom. I accompanied Anne Conlon on her final round of goodbyes, during which she announced her decision and my succession. This was ill-received by Anthony Kidman, who coveted the position for his daughter Nicole. I heard from 2 independent sources that Nicole is male. That, plus her unimpressive IQ, would have rendered her ineligible for Grand Dame nomination. Volatile Rosalind Croucher also threw a tantrum at the news. She screamed that I was too young and demanded to know why I was chosen. She stopped mid-sentence and began to choke. She then collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. That's why I chose her, Anne concluded, and we left. Anne Conlon and Janelle Kidman had associated for years due to the close relationship between their husbands. So we took tea with Janelle Kidman, whom I despised. Fiona has just returned from America. Anne tried to make polite conversation. Oh, really? Janelle feigned interest. How did that go? Suddenly, Janelle's teacup exploded into pieces. Anne chastised me as we drove away. I waited until she calmed down before I added, yeah, but it was funny. She smiled. Yes, it was. Anne smiled once more during a visit to her horse property northwest of Sydney when I made a joke about her long chestnut hair being the same color as the horse. The ritualistic transfer of power. Fritz Springmeier described the Grand Dame position as follows, quote, as a child of the Illuminati progressed through its programming, 3 people had oversight over its programming: its grandmother, its Grand Dame, and the programmer. The Illuminati method for killing a Grand Dame and passing her spiritual power on is done with reverence. No blood is to be spilled out of respect for the elderly woman who gives up her life willingly. At death, the last breath is inhaled by the replacement to transfer the power. The Grand Dames are often veiled in ritual and would wear robes with different colored lining. The different colors of lining show the different grades. Anne Conlon and I rode in mournful silence to St. Mary's Cathedral in Sydney City. The cathedral was packed full of dignitaries, politicians, entertainers, and priests, including Cardinal George Pell. The cathedral doors were heavily guarded by New South Wales police. The opulent evening ritual featured Bach organ music in a full choir. There I drew in Anne's last breath and collapsed to the floor behind the altar, devastated. It was acceptable for me to show emotion on this special occasion because my grief proved the good bond between a Grand Dame and her apprentice. I quickly composed myself and strode numbly down the cathedral aisle to eerie Baroque music I now hate. The backlash. With Anne Conlon gone, I was fair game, just as I predicted. Anthony Kidman took his rage out on me at a post-production party hosted at his Neutral Bay home on 27th of October 1984. John Bell produced King Lear at his Nimrod Theatre Company with a cast of Australia's finest actors, including Judy Davis and Colin Friels. It was the night before my 15th birthday. Leonis Petrauskas dropped me in front of Kidman's house and told me to ring the doorbell and say, "Starchild is here." Bruce Spence answered the door. I was led through a room full of noise, alcohol, and people snorting cocaine on a coffee table in the corner. After the guests left, John Bell and Anthony Kidman raped me in the lounge room. Then they near-drowned me in the pool. Kidman held my arms from behind while Bell danced like a monkey and plunged my head under with his foot. The following morning, I awoke in what looked like a basement. I was naked and tied to a chair. Kidman struck me repeatedly across the head and screamed, "Do you remember now?" His 17-year-old daughter, Nicole Kidman, leaned against the wall with her arms crossed, smirking at me. Later, Janelle curtly handed me my freshly laundered clothes. Hollywood. I was 14 when the CIA trafficked me to the Grand Dame of Hollywood. Scour the internet and you will find photos of Meryl Streep proudly flashing Luciferian hand signs and brazenly praising known rapists Roman Polanski and Harvey Weinstein. Mainstream press calls Streep the Grand Dame of Hollywood because she is in fact the Luciferian Grand Dame of the West Coast. In typical Grand Dame style, Streep is a red-haired bisexual who prefers sex with 14-year-old girls. I know because that is the age at which I was trafficked to her. I have not found a photo of the Hollywood house I was trafficked to. From my memory, it was decorated in a bland, minimalist Scandinavian style. As I walked in the front door, the kitchen was to my right, with a dining table behind that. Directly in front of me was a lounge room with giant floor-to-ceiling windows and a view like in a high-rise apartment. But I think we were simply in a house on a steep block overlooking the Hollywood Hills, with a swimming pool directly below on the window. To my left of the front entrance was a wide hall which led smack into double doors. Behind the doors was a bedroom which had an ensuite to the right. The party started with a ritual sacrifice on the dining table over which Streep presided. The victim lay face up on the table with while her throat was slit. The blood was drained into a ceremonial bowl, mixed with drugs, and stirred with a brush made of a sprig of herbs. Everyone sipped from the bowl, and then the revels began. I recall dancing with Streep to the Funky Town soundtrack before she took me into the bedroom, chatted with me about what I wanted to do with my life, and used me for sex. End quote. Fiona Barnett had this to say about her experience with Meryl Streep in a March 2026 interview on Wake the Dead with Sean McCann.
I've been to rituals with Meryl Streep at her house. Well, one ritual, she likes 14-year-old girls. And Steven Spielberg and his mate George Lucas, they're homosexual lovers. They were there and they murdered someone in front of me and everything, and then they all had parties, and she's dancing with me to Funky Town and, and then takes me in the bedroom, rapes me and all that sort of thing.
Oh no, not Meryl Streep, the best actress of her generation. Now whose boring-ass movies am I not going to watch? Meryl Streep, the Grand Dame of Hollywood Babylon. It's unbelievable how recently the public worshipped celebrities from Hollywood, choosing false idols like Luciferian witch Meryl Streep, just as the Israelites worshipped the golden calf of Baal when Moses ascended Mount Sinai. Kenneth Anger made popular the derisive nickname Hollywood Babylon with his book series published in 1965 and 1984. The books detail the scandals and depravity of early Hollywood. Anger's books revealed the dark underbelly of Hollywood, portraying it as an industry built on hedonism, exploitation, fleeting fame, and tragedy. The Dream Factory masked moral decay, studio control over stars' lives, and the human cost of celebrity. The name Hollywood Babylon is an allusion to biblical Babylon. Babylon was an ancient city located on the lower Euphrates River in southern Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, about 53 miles south of Baghdad. Historical Babylon was a real Mesopotamian metropolis famous for its wealth, the Hanging Gardens, the Ishtar Gate, and the Tower of Babel. The city of Babylon dates back to at least 2200 BC, and its rulers established two important empires in antiquity: the 19th to 16th century BC Old Babylonian Empire, and the 7th to 6th century BC Neo-Babylonian Empire. In the Christian Bible, especially the book of Revelations, Babylon becomes a powerful symbolic archetype, a decadent empire of vice, prostitution, materialism, and imperial excess that is ultimately judged and destroyed. Kenneth Anger chose to frame Hollywood as a modern-day equivalent of the biblical and cultural archetype of Babylon, a glittering but morally corrupt city of sin built on excess, hedonism, luxury, idolatry, and destined to fall. Hollywood's origins trace back to the early 1910s in Los Angeles. Filmmakers left the East Coast to escape Thomas Edison's motion picture patents company Monopoly, which controlled camera and film tech patents. Southern California's year-round sunshine, varied landscape, cheap land, and distance from Edison's enforcers who sued independent filmmakers made it ideal. The first Hollywood studio, Nestor, opened in 1911. By the 1920s, the studio system had emerged. The individuals who founded Hollywood were mostly Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe who started in Nickelodeons/theaters and built empires. These founders included Adolf Zukor, famous players in 1912, which merged into Paramount Pictures; Carl Laemmle, Universal Pictures, 1912; Louis B. Mayer, Marcus Lowe, and Samuel Goldwyn, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, or MGM, in 1924; Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack Warner, Warner Brothers Pictures, in 1923; William Fox, Fox Film Corporation, in 1915, which later became 20th Century Fox; and Harry and Jack Cohn, Columbia Pictures, in 1924. The big five majors, MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and RKO, dominated by a vertical integration through which they owned production, distribution, and theaters. The Little Three, Universal, Columbia, and United Artists, were smaller but still powerful. The system locked stars into contracts and allowed this oligopoly to control the entire film pipeline. However, in 1948, the Supreme Court ruled an antitrust decree in United States versus Paramount Pictures, which forced these companies to divest their theaters. Despite this attempt at trust busting, the entertainment oligopoly continued to consolidate in the decades after the Supreme Court decision. In Globalism versus Self-Governance, I covered this consolidation and highlighted how today 6 media conglomerates, National Amusements, Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Comcast, News Corp, and Sony, control 90% of the media produced in America. This gives their CEOs Sherry Redstone, Josh D'Amaro, David Zaslav, Brian Roberts / Michael Cavanaugh, Robert Thompson, and Hiroki Totoki, and their respective boards of directors, tremendous power. The power of black sorcery, through which Hollywood Babylon casts spells, manipulates perception, and socially engineers culture. Hollywood Babylon's grand dame, Meryl Streep, was born June 22, 1949. She attended the Yale School of Drama, then began acting in the theater in 1975. She transitioned to film in 1977 and received her first Academy Award nomination for The Deer Hunter in 1978. Streep went on to have one of the most prolific careers in Hollywood Babylon, spanning 64 films and 18 television projects. Along the way, she picked up 3 Academy Awards, 8 Golden Globe Awards, 2 British Academy Film Awards, 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards. She holds the record for the most Academy Awards and Golden Globe nominations for any performer. Streep was married to Don Gummer from 1978 to 2017, and they had 4 children: Henry, Mary or Mamie, Grace, and Louisa Gummer. Meryl Streep's award nominations include the 2008 Academy Award for Best Actress in the Harvey Weinstein / Miramax film Doubt. In Doubt, Meryl Streep portrayed a nun and manipulated the sympathies of Catholics all around the world to place the seeds of doubt. Maybe those priests never sexually abused those children after all. Do you think there could be an agenda in Hollywood to normalize pedophilia? Hollywood A-listers supplicated to Meryl Streep when she was awarded the 2004 American Film Institute Life Achievement Award. Here is that event and the Grand Dame relishing in their idolatry.
Some days when I'm having a hard day, I call up Meryl and she'll come and she'll step in for me. She's so good, people don't really notice. I call her at the end of the day and find out how I did, and inevitably it's one of the best days I've ever had.
Meryl, I just want to say that it's an honor to be one of your directors and also one of your co-actors. And it's an honor to be your friend. And like everyone else in this room who loves you, I'm no exception. Thank you.
You are a cut above the rest, Meryl. You are the cream of the crop. And all these tribute and lifetime achievement, humanitarian in show business, millennium, thespian of the Millennium Awards. They're happening now, and it is puzzling to me because you're only in your early 50s. A wonderful time for most actresses. Tonight. Oh, McGowan!
You are perfect. In a way, they're making you a sacred cow. I know how much you like that. I have this to say about that. Moo. Moo. Because the transcendent, talented, impassive, passive, gorgeous, committed, To me, you are perfect. And I love you very much. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you very much.
It's about lifelong loyalty and friendship. And Meryl, you have my loyalty and friendship because you're a truly special person and a great actress. So it's no surprise to me that you're here tonight accepting this award. Nobody deserves this honor more than you. You are the real thing, and I love you for that. Congratulations.
To be in Meryl's presence is to be on the receiving end of how far she goes in her exploration of the human experience. By putting life before art, Meryl Streep has made the choice of a trailblazing pioneer, and in the process became my generation's genius.
It's true, isn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, in the category of Best Actress Ever, the nominees are Meryl Streep, Meryl Streep, and Meryl Streep. And the winner is, guess who? A lot of actors started doing bad commercials. Remember Robert De Niro's? Now that's a spicy meatball. Or Bruce Dern. Where's the beef? Where is it? Give me the beef or I'll crack your head open. And of course, my favorite, Jack Nicholson. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. There is no bad film on this woman. Nothing. There are no flaws. That's what I want to know. Where are the flaws? You know, what are you, man? What are you? Shapeshifter? Body snatcher? Seriously, though, whether you're a friend, a colleague, or, oh, yeah. Or just a person in a dark movie theater being moved by your many, many beautiful performances, I think we can all agree that no one has ever deserved this honor more. And I know how easily embarrassed you are, so about compliments and things like that, this is going to be a very confronting night for you, so I don't want to lay it on too thick or anything like that. So I'll just say this. You're simply the best! You're better than all the rest! You're better than anyone! Maybe even him! Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're simply the best! Wouldn't this be great with music?
Thank you, thank you. Oh. Can't we just do this every year? Oh my God. I'm exhausted. Imagine how you must feel. Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
Moo. Fuck these freaks. And by the way, Jim Carrey, what was that inside joke you were making about Jack Nicholson? You know, the guy who had tunnels from his home in LA leading to the Playboy Mansion? The same home where director Roman Polanski raped a 13-year-old girl? What did you mean when you said, "I can't believe you ate the whole thing"? Were you referring to pizza with grape soda? Pasta with walnut sauce? Beef jerky? Fill us in on the joke, Jimmy boy! By the grace of God, humanity was blessed with the life of Isaac Kappy for 42 years. And Kappy did fill us in on the joke. Isaac Kappy burns down Hollywood Babylon. Isaac Kappy was an American actor born on February 17, 1977. He had been a rising star in Hollywood with roles in Beerfest, Terminator Salvation, Thor, and Breaking Bad. Kappy's life took a dramatic and unexpected turn thanks to an actor he'd befriended along the way, Seth Green. Green, that little ginger cuck who played the werewolf in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, informed Isaac Kappy of what was required to be in the top echelons of Hollywood. To which Kappy responded, "Fuck that, I'd sooner burn Hollywood Babylon to the ground than hurt a child." And then he proceeded to do exactly that.
But what I want to get into is, I want to get into like the bigger picture of how this stuff is all connected. Because when you're talking about like really elite levels, the name of the game is blackmail. So they want something on you that they can hold over your head so they can basically own you and tell you what to do. And they film it. And then they own you. So that's what runs the whole system, basically. What was the situation that woke me up? All right. So at Seth's, we went over there, played Mafia. It's a role-playing game that we play. And at the end of the night, it was me, Seth, and his brother-in-law. And Seth turned to me and opened up this secret bookshelf, and he's like, "This is where we keep the children." And I was like, I tried to just put it out of my mind. But then about a month later, Seth, Claire, and I were having a dinner at their house, and Seth said, "We now need to have a talk about chicken." And I was like, oh God. And then he basically admitted that he's a pedophile. This is for people that are new to this. This is not for like people that have been studying this. I'm sharing information. I want you to realize there's a bigger system of control. There's a bigger system of control that is at play. And I want people to open their eyes to it, because people don't want to believe, they can't believe that something so evil is happening. Like, because most people are good.
Before his mysterious death in 2019, Kappy told the world about a conversation he had with Jim Carrey. The conversation gives us a clue as to exactly what Jim Carrey was saying in his joke about Jack Nicholson. Spoiler alert, it's as horrible as you could possibly imagine.
By the way, I'll just fucking out him. Jim Carrey called me up last week. I talked to him for 5.5 hours. He's like begging me to like get a deal with Q. Like he's afraid of the fucking brackets. I'm like, and it's just like yammering on with the crap, but like not owning up or doing anything fucking meaningful. Meanwhile, just lying to everybody. Guys, you are fucking cowards. You're going down. You're gonna fucking die. That's it. You're gonna die. If you ate kids, you're gonna fucking die. You can't get over that shit. That's a death sentence. You cannot fucking live. But what I'll tell you that you can do is possibly save your soul. You can save your soul, and I can help you save your soul. You will fucking die, though, so get over it. I know you all are afraid that you sold your soul, but I think you can get it back. You're gonna fucking die, though.
We'll get into the nuances of exactly what Isaac Kappy was saying in this message later in the series. But the reality is that where there's smoke, there's fire, and the Hollywood elite are absolutely disgusting. Hollyweird is filled with freaks who literally sacrifice and eat children. Then they gaslight and speak condescendingly to the American public from their moral high ground while wearing $100,000 Givenchy couture dresses at the Golden Globes.
I love you all, but you'll have to forgive me. I've lost my voice in screaming and lamentation this weekend, and I have lost my mind sometime earlier this year, so I have to read. Thank you, Hollywood Foreign Press. Just to pick up on what Hugh Laurie said, you and all of us in this room really belong to the most vilified segments in American society right now. Think about it. Hollywood, foreigners, and the press. But who are we? And you know, what is Hollywood anyway? It's just a bunch of people from other places. There was one performance this year that stunned me. It sank its hooks in my heart. Not because it was good. There was nothing good about it. But it was effective and it did its job. It made its intended audience laugh and show their teeth. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back. It kind of broke my heart when I saw it, and I still can't get it out of my head because it wasn't in a movie. It was real life. And this instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled by someone in the public platform, by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing. Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose. As my friend, the dear departed Princess Leia, said to me once, take your broken heart, make it into art. Thank you.
Poor, heartbroken, child-sacrificing Meryl Streep. By the way, the story this delicate flower / Luciferian witch referenced took place at a November 2015 rally in which Donald Trump mocked a New York Times reporter named Serge Kovaleski. Kovaleski had written an article in September 2001 which referenced Muslims celebrating the 9/11 attacks in New Jersey. When Trump referenced his article in 2015, Kovaleski feigned ignorance.
So what happens is the Washington Post writes an article. And one of the paragraphs, it says, and by the way, this was right after September 11th. This was September 18th. And right after, it's sort of an amazing thing, right after a couple of good paragraphs, and it's talking about northern New Jersey, draws the prober's eye, written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction. 14 years ago, they did no retraction.
Kovaleski has arthrogryposis, a congenital condition that limits joint movement in his arms and hands. Then candidate Trump would issue a statement on Serge Kovaleski, arguing he did not know Kovaleski and was unaware of his disability. Quote, I have no idea who this reporter, Serge Kovaleski, is, what he looks like, or his level of intelligence. I didn't know if he is J.J. Watt or Muhammad Ali in his prime, or somebody of less athletic or physical ability. I know nothing about him other than I have great respect for the way he wrote the story on September 18th, 2001, and in particular the paragraph talking about Muslims and tailgate parties taking place in New Jersey. Somebody at the financially failing and totally biased New York Times said that over the years I have met Mr. Kowaleski. Despite having one of the all-time great memories, I certainly do not remember him. What I do know is that after 14 years and no retraction, this reporter tried to pull away from the tailgate party paragraph he wrote many years ago for the Washington Post. His recent statement to me seemed like, again without knowing what he looks like, he was groveling and searching for a way out from what he wrote many years before. In my speech before over 10,000 people in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I merely mimicked what I thought would be a flustered reporter trying to get out of a statement he made long ago. If Mr. Kowaleski is handicapped, I would not know because I do not know what he looks like. If I did know, I would definitely not say anything about his appearance. I have tremendous respect for people who are physically challenged and have spent millions of dollars throughout buildings all over the world on making them handicapped accessible and ADA, the Americans Disability Act, compliant. With that being said, Mr. Kowaleski should not have tried to pull back from his statement. He should live with it and as a professional stand by what he said." End quote. So, Meryl Streep's heart broke because Trump imitated Kowaleski in the style of an American man trolling a condescending beta from the liberal establishment. Like, inaccurately reported on the individuals in New Jersey who celebrated 9/11. But now that it's useful for my career to call the anti-establishment presidential candidate Islamophobic, I'll forget what I wrote and play the victim because I have no journalistic integrity. Fuck these liars and gaslighters. In 2018, a leaked document from LA's restaurant, Cannibal Club, exposed several of the restaurant's elite clients. They included Katy Perry, Anderson Cooper, Chelsea Clinton, and Meryl Streep. The restaurant's website boasts that it is the cutting edge of experimental cuisine and serves LA's cultural elite. Quote, "Our exclusive clientele includes noted filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities who have embraced the Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism. On event nights, avant-garde performance artists, celebrated literary figures, and groundbreaking musicians entertain our guests. At Cannibal Club, we celebrate artistic excellence as the natural and inevitable expression of the unbridled human spirit. Chef de cuisine Sophie Lafitte explains, quote, "The meat we serve is selected from the young and healthy. Consistent with the practice of cannibalism in many primitive societies, we view anthropophagy as homage to the dead who are reborn into the bodies of their consumers." End quote. The private restaurant operates a strict vetting policy. "It is necessary for us to operate privately and to vet our members in order to avoid disruption from the less enlightened." The menu listed on the site includes sirloin steak, human meat, flame-broiled 8 ounce, liver and mushroom pierogi, a Russian version of pierogies, baked rather than boiled, with a savory filling of wild mushrooms and human liver, and placenta lasagna, an otherwise traditional lasagna with one layer of cheese substituted by minced placenta and heirloom tomato sauce seasoned with garlic, onion, and oregano. In the FAQ section of the website, Cannibal Club claims, quote, "Most of the businesses and institutions who supply us prefer to keep those relationships discreet. On the individual level, bodies are often bequeathed to us. For some, this is a way to supplement life insurance and offset funerary expenses. For others, such as Cannibal Club member Gwendoline Fenwich, who was served to her friends and relatives at the club in January of 2008, being prepared as a meal and thereby reborn into the bodies of the living is an attractive alternative to the more traditional practices of burial and cremation." The revelation that Hollywood royalty, pop stars, and cable TV anchors consume human flesh when they are in Los Angeles is merely the latest example of public figures being exposed as dark figures reveling in the darkness. Jay-Z described Jesus Christ as the original fake news late in 2017. Miley Cyrus said "Hail Satan" on live radio and claimed she has a closer relationship with the devil than with her earthly father, Billy Ray. Rihanna was caught telling children in Barbados that if Jesus hasn't answered your prayers, try praying to Satan. Just last week, Chelsea Clinton told her Twitter followers that Satanism is a religion that deserves respect. End quote. Call me crazy, but I'm starting to think these Hollywood psychopaths may actually engage in cannibalism. As for Jim Carrey, in 2014 he appeared in a bizarre sketch on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Given what we now know about these monsters of Hollywood, the skit has aged like hot milk.
Dumb and Dumber 2 opens tomorrow. Please say hello to Jim Carrey. Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Well, you don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh, I like it.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know? And they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things. And, you know, and you know, look at him trying to come it out. It's hilarious, hilarious. And, you know, and I'm sick of, hold on a second. You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing, hold on. They're trying to turn us into, you know, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some,
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I was temporarily interrupted by my iPhone 6 Plus. 5.5.
That's a big one, huh?
5.5 heads-up HD display. I think what I was really trying to say was I think people will enjoy Dumb and Dumber this weekend.
And that is what I thought you were about to say.
They should all go to the theater. They should all go to the theater tomorrow and see it. Because we could use a good laugh. Ha, 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 ha.
Many suggested that Carrey was exposing the Illuminati with this bit, and that he must have been one of the good ones for doing so. But in hindsight, it's clear that Carrey and Kimmel were mocking us, thinking that the public was too stupid and too suppressed to understand what they were saying. But symbolism will be their downfall. When Carrey appeared in public in February of 2026, even the normies couldn't help but notice that he looked like a completely different person. Almost like the real Jim Carrey had already faced swift justice and been replaced by an actor in a mask.
I really took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French. So, you know, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy. But, you know, it's Then I watched everybody, like, talking 1,000 miles an hour up there, receiving their awards, and I was like, I'm dead.
Who knows? Maybe Jimmy Boy had good reason to be afraid of the brackets. Sean Adel-Tabatabai, investigative journalist and founder of The People's Voice, has been at the vanguard of exposing human trafficking in Hollywood for the past decade. He recently published a segment on Jim Carrey which included allegations about him made by music star Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber just declared war on Hollywood. He says the entertainment industry is built on ritual abuse, corruption, and the sacrifice of children in exchange for fame and power. And this isn't metaphor, performance art, or coded symbolism. It's real. As real as the devil who, as the saying goes, convinced the world he never existed. Bieber says Jim Carrey was once his childhood hero, but the man descended into Hollywood's occult underworld. He took part in dark ceremonies, ritual after ritual, all to climb into the innermost circle of power. At first it worked, but the price was monstrous. He lost control. The rituals consumed him. The addictions took root. And his spiraling obsession with adrenochrome finally destroyed what was left of the man. According to Bieber, the man people see today isn't even the original Carrey anymore. And he says he's got the receipts. The panic in Hollywood is spreading because Bieber is stepping into the open, naming names, dragging Hollywood's darkest secrets into the light. And he's coming for every last one of them. Justin Bieber's late-night Instagram sessions have become required viewing in 2026. Every time he goes live, millions pay attention. Not to watch a polished celebrity performance, but to hear somebody who is completely done with Hollywood's darkness. Bieber is an insider finally turning against the machine, posting and removing shocking allegations, as his online behaviour finally aligns with what's really going on inside his head. Those closest to him say he's barely holding it together. A man trying to process the trauma of what was done to him as a child, and the horrifying realization that it wasn't random, it was systematic. A machine designed to break people young and keep them silent forever. Fans first noticed the change in Bieber during the Diddy trial, when he began dropping strange coded messages about pizza, parties, and missing children. At first, people dismissed it as a coincidence, but then the messages became impossible to ignore. Now, he's saying everything openly. Bieber has accused Mariah Carey's family of the most depraved occult practices. He's branded Jay-Z and Usher adrenochrome addicts, who slurped on his blood for years to maintain fame and power. But his most disturbing revelation yet relates to his childhood hero, Jim Carrey. According to Bieber, the real Jim Carrey is already dead. He died after years of taking part in depraved rituals and consuming forbidden substances tied to the elite's most degenerate practices. Bieber even claims Carrey once tried to initiate him into the inner circle, pressuring him to eat the brain tissue of a young child, which Bieber says is a line no human being should ever cross. So who exactly is the hollow-eyed lookalike still appearing on red carpets and collecting Lifetime Achievement Awards in Jim Carrey's name?
I was really, is this about someone else? My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now.
We'll get to that later. But first, Bieber wasn't the first to call him out. In 2016, Isaac Kappy spoke to Jim Carrey on the phone for 5 hours and delivered a chilling warning. He told him that his Luciferian lifestyle, the rituals, the pacts, the descent into darkness, would not only drag his soul into eternal damnation, but that it would violently cut his life short.
You know, their parent says, you know who that is? That's the Grinch. And I go,
I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming.
Kappy wasn't delivering some vague spiritual caution. It was a direct prophecy from a man who knew the inner workings of the machine. A man who understood the price of the Hollywood bargain.
By the way, I'll just fucking out him. Jim Carrey called me up last week. I talked to him for 5.5 hours. He's like begging me to like get a deal with Q. Like he's afraid of the fucking brackets. I'm like, and it's just like yammering on with the crap, but like not owning up or doing anything fucking meaningful. Meanwhile, just lying to everybody. Guys, you are fucking cowards. You're going down. You're gonna fucking die. That's it. You're gonna die. If you ate kids, you're gonna fucking die. You can't get over that shit. That's a death sentence. You cannot fucking live. But what I'll tell you that you can do is possibly save your soul. You can save your soul, and I can help you save your soul.
Around that same time, Carey's mind began to fracture. He slipped into disassociation, speaking of himself only in the third person, as though the famous face on the screen belonged to a stranger. He went further, publicly declaring that Jim Carrey didn't even exist.
I don't exist. So they're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters. Jim Carrey was a less intentional character because I thought I was just building something that people would like, but it was a character. I played the guy that was free from concern so that people who watched me would be free from concern.
That wasn't madness, it was method. A calculated psychological partition, a deliberate splitting of the self, designed to wall off the horrors he was committing behind closed doors. Carey was a man building compartments in his own mind, so one version could keep smiling for the cameras, while the other carried out horrific crimes against children in silence. Just listen to the difference in his voice. Compare the old Jim Carrey to the man appearing today. The energy is different, the cadence is different. Even the laugh sounds off. The person on screen now isn't the same man audience grew up watching.
I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies.
You know, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy, but you know, it's then I watched everybody like talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards, and I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead.
According to Justin Bieber, Jim Carrey has been under monarch mind control his entire adult life, forced into a series of life-altering decisions, forced to continue paying his dues, with prices that keep going higher and higher. Because in this world, success always comes with a price, and the longer you stay at the top, the more the system demands from you. Even someone like Jim Carrey, a man many believe was beginning to wake up, pulling away from the machine, questioning the entire illusion, discovered too late that nobody walks away clean. According to members of his own family, Carrey didn't escape the system. The system erased him. And after the break, we'll show you why the man appearing on television today isn't Jim Carrey at all. AI analysis of Jim Carrey's appearance at recent events has indicated there's a greater than 99% chance we're looking at a different person. Jim Carrey's own cousin says that he's known for months that the new Jim is not the same as the old Jim. He says the new Jim didn't recognise their aunt, and he gets the names of family members mixed up. His sense of humour is different, and his mannerisms and whole vibe are completely off.
When he came back, I knew. The new Jim looks like him. Same voice, same height, but the body's tighter, straighter. The real Jim couldn't stand still. The new Jim stands perfectly still, and he doesn't recognize us right. The first time we dinner back, he hesitated before hugging his own aunt, called our cousin by the wrong nickname. I brought up the lake house, the dog glimpse. He smiled, but there was nothing behind it. No details, no riff, just performance. The real Jim would have turned it into a 10-minute story. The new Jim nods. He used to say he'd upgrade when he was old, but he got unstable, guilty, talking too much about dangerous things. I don't think he got to choose the timing. The real Jim was volatile, dangerous, always on the verge of saying something that would have burned it all down. The new Jim? Polished, safe. The real Jim knew me. The new Jim looks at me like I'm a file he skinned once. And that's how I know that's not him anymore.
So, what happened to the old Jim? According to his cousin, Justin Bieber is on the money about Kerry's descent into cannibalism and occult barbarism. He hints that Kerry became addicted to adrenochrome. He visited Epstein's Island multiple times, including one trip that coincided with Bill Gates. During this period, his taste for child flesh became all-consuming.
The vice, not drugs. Consumption, youth. He got obsessed with staying young. Injections, blood treatments, experimental stuff. That's when he started talking about Jeffrey Epstein and cloning labs, offshore backups, insurance bodies. Said powerful men don't gamble on mortality, they duplicate. He told me he upgrade one day, on his terms. Then his girlfriend was found dead. I don't know what happened in that house. He hinted, but I'm not gonna say. I just know that after that, he wasn't the same. He stopped pretending he was better than it. He leaned in, ritual stuff. Oaths. Real ugly parties. Hanging around chaos agents like Courtney Love and worse. Bill Gates. More trips to the island. He started eating different. Wouldn't touch regular food. One night, he told me, real calm, he only ate what he would have fucked if it was still breathing. I didn't sleep much after that.
They killed him and replaced him with a hateful, soulless double. The saddest part is that they pulled the legacy of Jim Carrey down with them.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
I like it.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. Talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, when they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, and you know, look at him trying to come it up.
As Justin Bieber's father-in-law Stephen Baldwin warned us, it's all of them. Nobody comes through Hollywood or the entertainment industry as a young person, particularly as a child star, without paying the price.
As for those 2017 Golden Globes, they weren't a total loss. I couldn't help but notice some pointed statements from actress Viola Davis when she awarded Streep her stupid trophy.
She is an observer and a thief. She waits to share what she has stolen on that sacred place which is the screen. She makes the most heroic characters vulnerable, the most known familiar, the most despised relatable. Dame Streep. Dame Streep, I see you. I see you.
I see you too, Dame Streep. Now, we all see you, you evil bitch. And we see your bosses too. Moo. Meryl Streep won the 2012 Golden Globe for Best Actress for her role as Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady. In her acceptance speech, her mask slipped, and she revealed the false idols worshipped by these demons of Hollywood.
I just want to thank my agent, Kevin Uvain, and God, Harvey Weinstein. The Punisher, Old Testament, I guess.
Harvey Weinstein is a strange pick for feminist Meryl Streep to call God. And what about that joke about him being the Punisher and the God of the Old Testament? Fill us in on the joke, Dame Streep. Harvey Weinstein, the pig monster. Harvey Weinstein was born March 19, 1952, in Queens, New York City. Harvey was the son of Jewish parents Max and Miriam Weinstein. His father, a diamond cutter, had been an army supply sergeant based in Cairo during World War II. After the war, Max stayed in the Middle East to support the Jewish underground in Palestine. Or would it be more accurate to say he supported the Khazarian occupation of Palestine? Harvey, his brother Bob, and their friend Corky Burger began their careers throwing rock concerts in Buffalo via their business Harvey and Corky Presents. Harvey was married to Eve Chilton between 1987 and 2004 and to Georgina Chapman between 2007 and 2021. Harvey had 3 children, Remy, Emma, and Ruth, with Eve, and 2, India and Dashel, with Georgina. In 1979, Harvey and Bob Weinstein founded Miramax, named after their parents. Miramax produced many successful independent films including Pulp Fiction, Good Will Hunting, and Shakespeare in Love, which in total won 81 Oscars. At annual awards ceremonies, Weinstein has been thanked more than almost anyone else in movie history, ranking just after Steven Spielberg and right before God. A 2002 New Yorker expose on Harvey titled Beauty and the Beast noted, because Weinstein immerses himself so deeply in the work of filmmakers, he's been called Harvey Scissorhands. In 1993, Disney acquired Miramax for $80 million, and the Weinstein brothers continued to run the film studio as a subsidiary. Harvey and Bob Weinstein left Miramax in 2005 to start a new production company, the Weinstein Company. Weinstein was a major Democratic Party donor and held a fundraiser which raised over $2 million for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. In October of 2017, The New Yorker and The New York Times reported that more than a dozen women accused Weinstein of sexually harassing, assaulting, or raping them. Ronan Farrow's reporting at The New Yorker included this audio of a conversation between Weinstein and Italian model Ambra Gutierrez. The audio was recorded during a 2015 New York Police Department sting operation.
I'm telling you right now.
What do we have to do here?
Nothing. I'm going to take a shower. You sit there and have a drink.
I don't drink.
Then have
Can
a
I
glass
stay
of water.
on the bar?
No, you must come here now.
No.
Look, please.
No, I don't want to.
I'm not doing anything with you.
I
now
know.
you're embarrassing me.
I'm
Now
sorry, I
No,
cannot.
come in
No,
here.
yesterday was a kind of aggressive for
I
me.
know-
I need to know a person to
I
be
won't
touched.
do a thing.
I don't
Do a thing, please. I swear I won't. Just sit with me. Don't embarrass me in the hotel. I'm here all the time.
I
Sit
know,
with me.
but
I
I don't
promise.
want to.
Please sit there. Please. 1 minute.
No,
I
I
ask
can't.
you. Go to the bathroom.
Please, I don't want to do something I don't want
Go
to.
to the bathroom. Come here. Listen to me.
I want to go downstairs.
I'm not going to do anything. You'll never see me again after this. Okay? That's it. If you embarrass me in this hotel,
I'm not
I'll stay.
embarrassing you.
Just
It's just
walk.
that I don't feel comfortable.
Honey, don't have a fight with me in the
It's not
hall.
nothing.
Please, I'm not going to do anything. I swear, my children. Please come in. On everything. I'm a famous guy.
I'm feeling very uncomfortable right
Please
now.
come in now. And 1 minute. And if you want to leave, when the guy comes with my
Why
jacket, you can
yesterday
go.
you touched my breast?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in. Because
No, but I'm not used to that.
I won't do it again. Come on. Sit here. Sit here for a minute, please.
No, I don't want to.
If you do this now, you will embarrass me. But no. Fine. Never call me again. Okay? I'm sorry. I promise you I won't do anything. The
I
guy,
know, but yesterday was too
the guy
much
is
for me.
coming. I will never do another thing to you. 5 minutes. Don't ruin your friendship with me for 5 minutes.
I know, but it's kind of like, it's too much for me. I can't.
Please, you're making a big scene here.
No,
Please.
but I want to leave.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.
Harvey Weinstein issued a statement in response to the allegations which read, quote, I came of age in the 60s and 70s when all the rules about behavior in workplaces were different. That was the culture then. I have since learned it's not an excuse, in the office or out of it, to anyone. I realized some time ago that I needed to be a better person and my interactions with the people I work with have changed. I appreciate the way I behaved with colleagues in the past has caused a lot of pain, and I sincerely apologize for it. Though I'm trying to do better, I know I have a long way to go. That is my commitment. My journey now will be to learn about myself and conquer my demons. Over the last year, I've asked Lisa Bloom to tutor me, and she's put together a team of people. I've brought on therapists, and I plan to take a leave of absence from my company and to deal with the issue head on. I so respect all women and regret what happened. I hope that my actions will speak louder than words, and that one day we will be able to earn their trust and sit down together with Lisa to learn more. Jay-Z wrote in 444, I'm not the man I thought I was, and I better be that man for my children. The same is true for me. I want a second chance in the community, but I know I've got work to do to earn it. I have goals that are now priorities. Trust me, this isn't an overnight process. I've been trying to do this for 10 years, and this is a wake-up call. I cannot be more remorseful about the people I hurt, and I plan to do right by all of them. I'm going to need a place to channel that anger, so I've decided that I'm going to give the NRA my full attention. I hope Wayne LaPierre will enjoy his retirement party. I'm going to do it at the same place I had my bar mitzvah. I'm making a movie about our president, and perhaps we can make it a joint retirement party. 1 year ago, I began organizing a $5 million foundation to give scholarships to women directors at USC. While this might seem coincidental, it has been in the works for a year. It will be named after my mom, and I won't disappoint her." End quote. Sexual abuse allegations against Harvey date back to the 1970s. After the October 2017 stories broke, Weinstein was dismissed from his company and expelled from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. More than 80 women made allegations of sexual harassment or rape against him. Weinstein's sexual predation had long been an open secret in Hollywood.
Oh, please. I'm not afraid of anyone in show business. I turned down intercourse with Harvey Weinstein on no less than 3 occasions out of 5. I know how former lovers can have a hold over you long after they're gone. In some ways, I'm still pinned under a passed-out Harvey Weinstein, and it's Thanksgiving.
Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein.
Notably, in 2005, actress/musician Courtney Love said this on the red carpet.
Hi, Comic Central. Do you have any advice for a young girl moving to Hollywood? I'll get lively with this. When Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party and 4 seasons stuff, yeah.
After the Weinstein story broke, Love, the widow of Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, tweeted, quote, "Although I wasn't one of his victims, I was eternally banned by CAA for speaking out against Harvey Weinstein. #rape." End quote. CAA, Creative Artists Agency, is one of the largest talent and sport agencies in the world. Endeavor, the largest, had 4,500 employees, while CAA had 1,500 employees as of 2014. Notable Weinstein accusers include actresses Ashley Judd, Gwyneth Paltrow, Selma Hayek, Rose McGowan, Annabella Sciorra, Uma Thurman, and Asia Argento, as well as former employees and others like Jessica Mann, Miriam or Mimi Haley, and Evgenia Chernyshova. Journalist Ronan Farrow knew firsthand how prevalent rape and child sexual abuse are in Hollywood. He is the son of director Woody Allen and actress Mia Farrow. Allen and Farrow began dating in 1980 and were together for 12 years but never married or lived together. Before marrying Allen, Mia Farrow had married Frank Sinatra when she was 21 and he was 50. Vanity Fair reported that Sinatra had taken her virginity prior to their marriage. 2 years later, Sinatra served her with divorce papers while Mia Farrow was on the set of her starring role in Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. What a gentleman, Old Blue Eyes. Still, Sinatra and Farrow retained an on-and-off relationship/friendship over the subsequent decades. Mia Farrow referred to Frank Sinatra as the love of her life. Mia Farrow married composer Andre Previn in 1970, and the two had several children, twins Matthew and Sasha, Fletcher, and adopted daughters Lark, Daisy, and Soon Yi. Farrow and Previn divorced in 1979, and she met Woody Allen shortly thereafter. During their time together, Allen and Farrow had one child together, a boy named Satchel, later renamed Ronan. That said, when Vanity Fair asked Mia Farrow in 2013 whether Sinatra could be Ronan's father, she replied, "Possibly." Allen formally co-adopted 2 of Farrow's children, Moses and Dylan, who she'd adopted as a single parent in 1980 and 1985, respectively. The relationship imploded in early 1992 when Farrow discovered Allen was having a sexual relationship with Soon Yi Previn, the 21-year-old daughter she'd adopted from South Korea. Farrow found nude Polaroid photos of Soon Yi in Allen's apartment. Mia said the pornographic photos were so explicit that only Hustler magazine would agree to publish them. Then, on August 4th, 1992, during a visit to Mia Farrow's home, Woody Allen allegedly molested their 7-year-old daughter Dylan in the attic. In a call to her child psychologist, Dr. Susan Coates, Mia Farrow described Woody Allen as satanic and evil. Allison Strickland, the nanny who was in the house that day, said she saw Alan burying his face into Dylan's lap while she wasn't wearing underwear. Farrow hired attorney Alan Dershowitz, who proposed to Woody Allen that they resolve the matter without any public disclosure. Woody Allen rejected the proposal. This triggered a bitter public custody battle, police investigations, and dueling expert reports. Woody Allen was interviewed by Steve Kroft of 60 Minutes shortly after the assault on Dylan.
The allegations are that you took Dylan into a attic or crawl space, that you touched her in her private part. Is there any truth to that at all?
Look, be logical about this. I'm 57. Isn't it illogical that I'm going to, at the height of a very bitter, acrimonious custody fight, drive up to Connecticut where nobody likes me in the house. I'm with a house full of enemies. I mean, Mia was so enraged at me, and she had gotten all the kids to be angry at me, that I'm going to drive up there and suddenly, on visitation, pick this moment in my life to become a child molester. It's just incredible. I could, if I wanted to be a child molester, I had many opportunities in the past. I could have quietly made a custody settlement with Mia in some way and done it in the future. I mean, you know, it's so insane.
Alan is cooperating with the investigation. He's made his own psychiatric files and the files of his children available to authorities. He's submitted to a polygraph and a battery of psychological tests. The reports we were shown would seem to support his contention he's not a child molester. Why then would Alan's 7-year-old daughter tell a Connecticut doctor otherwise?
Either she has been coached methodically to tell the story because...
By Mia?
By Mia, yeah. Because first of all, several weeks before it happened, Mia called me on the phone and said, in the course of an argumentative phone call, she said, I have something very nasty planned for you. And I said, what are you going to do, shoot me?
When did this happen?
This happened several weeks or a month before the allegations.
This was last summer?
Yes, this was a month before this happened. And on many occasions, over the phone and in person, Mia had said to me, you took my daughter and I'm going to take yours.
What did she mean by that?
She meant by it that I had formed a relationship with her 21-year-old daughter, and she was going to get my daughter, who's Dylan, I only have one daughter. That's what she meant. She was going to seek
her away.
Her revenge that way, yes.
Because of your affair with Sun Yi?
Yes, absolutely. You took my daughter, I'm going to take your daughter.
Alan contends that from the moment Mia Farrow discovered the nude pictures he'd taken of Sun Yi, she considered him morally guilty of child molesting, even though Sun Yi was legally an adult. A month before the alleged incident with Dylan, Alan says he found this note on a door while he was at Farrow's house for Dylan's birthday. It reads, child molester at birthday party, molded then abused one sister, now focused on youngest sister. Family disgusted.
Mia wrote that note. That's her handwriting.
Oh, absolutely.
Alan says he's always been a devoted father, a constant presence in his children's lives. And he's threatened a lawsuit over a recent magazine article that implied he had an unhealthy obsession with Dylan. Not so, according to Alan, who says if Mia Farrow had problems with his behavior towards Dylan, she didn't raise them when it came time for him to adopt her daughter.
She wrote a glowing letter, or an affidavit, saying that I was just a loving and a caring and attentive father, and that I was that my adopting Dylan would be great benefit to her. This was her sworn affidavit. You know.
When did she write it?
She wrote it in December of last year.
A month before things exploded.
Yes.
A month before she found out about you and Sun Yi.
Yes.
And what was Mia's reaction when she found out about Sun Yi?
What happened was crazy behavior that became, terrible rage, death threats. Look, if this is not irrational to you, I mean, she accused me of child molestation on August 4th, right?
Right.
And that I molested my daughter, I molested my daughter, and August 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, the week after, she's fully saying, when do we begin our new movie? I'm going for my costume fitting next week, and she made an appointment with the costume designer on the movie, and I said, what do you mean the new movie? And she said, well, you know, I'm supposed to go in and see the costume designer, I got to get my fitting, and we're going to begin shooting in another 5 weeks. And I said, are you kidding? You're accusing of child molestation, and you think we're going to just go on with the movie?
What did you say to her?
I said, that, you know, of course this is insane. I mean, I said, you know, I told my lawyer that, you know, they should call her and terminate the contract, and I went out and hired another actress to play the role.
One of the reoccurring themes in your movies over the years has been the question of guilt. And I think one of the things that seems to bother people a lot about this is the fact that from your initial statements, there was no sense at all that you had done anything questionable or wrong.
Well, from where I sat, of course, I understand why people think that, and they're correct in their perceiving it that way. From where I sat, I did not feel that, but I can see.
It never occurred to you that this was going to be controversial. That
look,
that there might be a problem here.
It's conceivable. Yes, it's conceivable to me that it's controversial. That it was controversial. I understand that, and as I say, I take full responsibility.
Did
for
you
that.
have any reservations about it?
Reservations about what?
About getting involved with Suni.
Did I have I didn't have reservations because I had this. It was a totally separate thing. What I'm getting at here is there has been an attempt to link my relationship with Suni with charges of child molestation. They're two completely different things. I have an adult relationship with Suni. Those people that feel they want to feel that it's questionable or not their taste, or she's too young for me, or she's Mia's daughter, and whatever they want to think, I'll take that heat. I'm responsible for that. I accept all the criticism that they want. You know, that it's my life and it's Suni's life, and I accept that. That does not mean that I should be charged with child molestation.
Is this still an ongoing relationship with you?
Yes. I mean, she's away at school, and so it's limited by that, and she has a few years to go before she graduates, and that's what she's mostly focused on is getting her education. But yes, it is ongoing.
Suni shared her thoughts in an August 1992 Newsweek article in which she said, quote, "I'm not a retarded little underage flower who was raped, molested, and spoiled by some evil stepfather. Not by a long shot. I'm a psychology major at college who fell for a man who happens to be the ex-boyfriend of Mia. I admit it's offbeat, but let's not get hysterical." End quote. A Yale New Haven child sexual abuse clinic team concluded in 1993 that no abuse had occurred and suggested possible coaching/influence by Farrow. No criminal charges were ever filed against Allen. However, significant issues were raised about the investigation's methodology, credibility, and reliability during the 1993 custody trial, including excessive interviews with 7-year-old Dylan. 9 separate interviews were conducted, potentially re-traumatizing young Dylan. Team members of the study destroyed the raw interview notes before issuing the final report, and the social workers were unwilling to testify in court. Critics argued the team leaped to unsubstantiated conclusions about coaching or influence without sufficient evidence, misinterpreted Dylan's statements, and overly criticized Mia Farrow's homemade video of the disclosure. Suni Previn and Woody Allen married in Venice on December 22, 1997. They have 2 adopted daughters together, Bichette and Manzi, and have remained together ever since. In late 2009, Woody Allen joined a long list of Hollywood celebrities who signed a petition in support of Roman Polanski and against his extradition to the U.S. after fleeing the country more than 30 years earlier for raping a 13-year-old girl. Because what's a little drugging, aggravated rape, and sodomy of a child amongst friends, right? Woody Allen and Mia Farrow have been estranged for decades, and their family was left bitterly divided. Farrow recorded Dylan in the days following the attic assault, as well as her telephone conversations with Woody Allen. This includes a call in which she confronted him about his relationship with Soon-Yi and accused him of abusing Dylan. Parts of these recordings were released to the public in the 2021 HBO docuseries Allen v. Farrow.
Dylan, just tell me again what happened, okay? Just tell me so I've got it straight, okay?
Well, you put so touch.
I'm just moving this here, just...
He touched my private, and then he was breathing on my leg, and then he was around me and squeezed me too hard that I couldn't breathe.
What do you mean he touched your privates? Where did he touch you? He touched you where? Show me again. Right there? Okay. I'll just get the phone 1 second. You said what?
What about some father-daughter time? He said to me. And then I said, well, okay. And we went into your room.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into the attic.
Mm-hmm.
He started telling me weird things. And secretly he went into the attic and Woody went behind me and touched my privates.
Which privates did he touch?
This part.
He touched your front part?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what things Daddy said in the attic, when you were in the attic?
Well, when I was in the attic, I said, do not move, I have to do this. The guy looked at my bottom hole to see what he was doing. He said, don't move, I have to do this. So if you stay still, then, we can go to Paris.
I want to because you will not let me get it.
You have to. It's way beyond that now. What you've done to Suni, what you've done to Dylan. What you've done to Dylan. Dylan's a baby. How could you do that to her? I don't know anything of the kind. I know what Dylan tells me. You've told me nothing but lies. Dylan tells the truth and consistently. No, I don't know that, Woody. I've always been worried about you and Dylan. And I didn't know the doctor had to report this to the authorities. I didn't know that. I went just to be sure she was all right. And she's not all right, Woody. She walks around the house holding her vagina. She sleeps with me. She's scared of you. And you hurt her. And I feel pretty guilty myself that I wasn't there to protect her. She said, Mommy, you didn't help me. She said, Daddy shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have hurt me like that. If you hurt her, you would weep inside. And you would just want to be dead. Because I don't know how you can live with what you did.
Despite wearing a scarlet letter as one of Hollywood's most notorious pedophiles for decades, in December of 2025, Allen said he was not sorry for his friendship with the child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. I guess pedophiles of a feather flock together. In January of 2016, Woody Allen wrote a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's 63rd birthday. Allen described how dinners at Epstein's reminded him of Dracula's castle, quote, where Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who service the place, end quote. In February of 2026, the Department of Justice released 2 million files related to the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Those files included the following email thread between Epstein and Soon-Yi Previn in September of 2016 regarding a Daily Mail story that had just broken about disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner. On Thursday, September 22, 2016, at 7:02 a.m., Soon-Yi Previn wrote, quote, report Anthony Weiner had month-long sexting relationship with 15-year-old girl, and a link to the article. Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. Previn. I know. It's an incredible story. You have to feel sorry for him. He can't seem to learn. Most importantly, I feel sorry for his wife. I also thought it was disgusting what the 15-year-old did to him. I hate women who take advantage of guys, and she is definitely one of them. She knew exactly what she was doing and how vulnerable Weiner was, and she reeled him in like a fish to bait. It's also laughable when she says in her letter that she is putting it out there to help him. How does it help him? It only humiliates him. We know his excuse that he has a sickness. What is her excuse for being a despicable and disgusting person who preys on the weak? We know he's sick, but she's also sick to have done this to him. So manipulative on her part. She should be ashamed of herself. Epstein. I am not sure that a person's sex life, no matter who they are, can withstand disclosures, exaggerations, etc. He hasn't had sex in a year. What is he supposed to do? He can't have a girlfriend, can't have a hooker, so he thought he was safe. Previn. He thought he was safe with a 15-year-old over the internet? Something he was caught doing many times, or at least twice before? It doesn't make any sense. Guess what Woody and I talked about on our way home? I got to the bottom of the women. I'm not good at letting things go. Woody has a very hard life with me. Let's just say Woody is a smooth talker so he can get himself out of anything. Epstein. Haha, I knew he was in for the third-degree interrogation, the Korean waterboard. Previn. Very funny. I would have it no other way. I like things clarified. You knew I wasn't going to let that pass. End quote. This bizarre exchange provides insight into the oligarchy's culture. Even though Soon-Yi Previn was herself abused and groomed by her depraved pedophile stepfather, she still took Anthony Weiner's side over the 15-year-old girl to whom he was sexting things like, quote, I would bust that tight pussy so hard and so often that you would leak and limp for a week, end quote. How is it possible that Soon-Yi took this position? The hard truth is that this cabal of elite psychopaths perpetuates their culture of corruption and depravity by indoctrinating younger generations. They do so through the use of trauma-based mind control. One of the most effective forms of mind control is multi-generational incest, because that crime is so horrific that it results in psychopathic tendencies, dissociated identities, and fractured consciousness. And as for Anthony Weiner, I can tell you that Hillary Clinton fucking hates being asked about the contents of his laptop while under oath. But more on that later in this series. Another interesting email thread from the DOJ's Epstein release relates to a Wayfair purchase Jeffrey Epstein made for Woody Allen on his birthday. The thread begins on October 27th of 2016 when Epstein's team placed an order for 6 chairs, French Bistro European Cafe folding side chair by Furniture Design House for about $2,000. The chairs were billed to Jeffrey Epstein and shipped to Woody Allen. The order was forwarded from Epstein's assistant, Bella Klein, through his inner circle with a note about the chairs that Jeffrey has purchased for Woody. On November 5th, Epstein's assistant, Leslie Groff, forwarded Wayfair's updated shipping notice to Epstein. Quote, Woody's chairs are to ship on November 9th and he is to receive November 10th. I am watching the status. I'll keep you posted. End quote. On November 7th, an intermediary wrote to Lauren Chung, Woody Allen's assistant, explaining the delivery plan. 6 cartons with 2 chairs each, 12 chairs total, would be arriving via FedEx. Lauren confirmed Woody's housekeeper or his chef Richard would be home to receive them. On November 10th, the chairs arrived, but something was off. Soon-Yi Previn emailed Lauren Chung, quote, Did you tell them 12 chairs as it seems as if they only ordered 6? Am I not seeing something? End quote. Lauren responded that Wayfair sold them in pairs. She told them 6 pairs, so 12 chairs total, and believed Wayfair made a mistake. She said she'd call them in the morning. Meanwhile, Epstein forwarded the Wayfair shipping confirmation to Soon-Yi directly from his jeevacation@gmail.com address. On November 11th, Wayfair sent a birthday gift notification email to Woody Allen. Quote, "Exciting news, your friend Jeffrey Epstein sent you a gift from Wayfair. Even better, your package has left the warehouse and is on its way to you." End quote. The gift message from Epstein read simply, "Happy birthday, Woody, from Jeffrey." That same day, Epstein's intermediary told him the delivery was pushed to Monday, November 14th, and also informed Epstein that the chairs come 2 to a box, addressing the quantity confusion. That same day, Lauren Chung confirmed to Epstein's team, quote, "I'll let you know when the Allens receive the chairs. Thank you again," end quote. Finally, a member of Epstein's team, name redacted, emailed Chung on November 15th to ask, "Hi Lauren, did the chairs arrive to Woody yesterday?" Lauren replied, "Yes, they did. Apparently, Jeffrey and Soon-Yi and Woody Allen texted about it but didn't let us know. Oh well, as long as they're all happy." The Epstein team member responded with a relieved, "Ha ha ha, yes, totally agree. Glad they arrived and all are happy." All are happy, so what's the issue? Why would this email exchange be cause for concern? Why can't two buddies/pedophiles send Wayfair furniture to one another on their birthdays? Why would conspiracy theorists worry something darker than 12 French bistro sliding chairs were being discussed? Here's reporter WFF News explaining exactly why.
For years, Wayfair was selling furniture with the same name as missing girls. For example, in 2019, a 17-year-old girl from Ohio named Samaya went missing. Then, a few days later, Wayfair listed a Samaya 5 shelf storage cabinet for almost $13,000. In 2020, a 16-year-old girl from Connecticut named Yuritsa went missing. And a few days later, the Yuritsa storage cabinet went up for sale on Wayfair for just under $14,000. May 2020, from Kansas City, a 14-year-old girl named Annabelle goes missing. Same storage unit, sold on Wayfair. Annabelle with the same selling for just under $11,000. January 2020, Kyla Coleman, 16 years old from Cleveland, goes missing. You can already guess, Wayfair, same name, this one discounted for $12,000. Everyone always called this a conspiracy theory until now, when a receipt from Wayfair was found in the Epstein files. Look, we know that Jeffrey Epstein's network has a history with missing girls. Don't forget this picture of John Benet Ramsey and Ghislaine Maxwell lurking in the background. Back to the receipt. It was purchased by Karina, Jeffrey Epstein's longtime girlfriend, on June 28, 2018. It was for one item totaling $8,400. And I've tried, but I can't find out what the item was. What I do know is that on June 23rd, 5 days prior, a girl named Joanna went missing from Columbus, Ohio. And still, to this day, she has never been found. But back in the day when this conspiracy was spreading online, there was a high-priced Joanna cabinet circulating in the chats from the same WFX utility company. Just for context, the WFX company is still selling the same storage units on Wayfair, but they're only $139. Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, Karina, wasn't just making purchases on Wayfair. She's also active in the files for making purchases off of Etsy. We know that back during this time, Etsy also had some very weird postings. The reality is that none of this proves anything, but it does make you think that if this type of activity was happening, who was behind selling these items to Jeffrey and his network, allegedly? Where's Epstein's longtime girlfriend, Karina? She was a dentist, which might explain why he had these rooms. Just 2 days before his passing, his estate signed everything over to her. We're talking about the properties, Zorro Ranch, the island, and hundreds of millions of dollars. So, does she know where all the bodies are buried? I say that figuratively, of course.
Do you ever wish 200 generals would round up all these child traffickers and send them all straight to Guantanamo Bay? On that note, it's worth highlighting something that took place the same day that the New York Times article on Weinstein dropped, October 5th, 2017. President Trump was at the White House meeting with a team of military and intelligence leaders. He made this cryptic comment to the press that day.
You know what this represents?
Tell us, sir. Maybe it's the calm. You guys know what this represents? Tell us, sir. Maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm?
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
What do you think President Trump could have meant by that? And if I'm not mistaken, isn't that Admiral Mike Rogers, the 17th NSA director, with him? What's the 17th letter of the alphabet? 5 days later, The New Yorker published From Aggressive Overtures to Sexual Assault, Harvey Weinstein's accusers tell their stories. The expose was written by Ronan Farrow, the biological son of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen, or possibly Frank Sinatra. Ronan Farrow, Rose McGowan, and #MeToo. Ronan Farrow, a child genius, started college at Bard at age 11 and then served as the UNICEF spokesperson for youth from 2001 to 2009. He advocated for children and women caught up in the ongoing crisis in Sudan's Darfur region. Farrow attended Yale Law School. At Yale, Farrow interned at law firm Davis Polk & Wardell in the Office of Chief Counsel at the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Farrow focused on international human rights law. After completing law school in 2009, Farrow joined the Obama administration as Special Advisor for Humanitarian and NGO Affairs in the Office of the Special Representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan. He was appointed by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton as her Special Advisor for Global Youth Issues in 2011. During this time, Ronan Farrow first met actress Rose McGowan when the two were seated together at a 2010 State Department dinner. After leaving the State Department, Farrow completed a Rhodes Scholarship at the University of Oxford and then launched his career in investigative journalism with NBC Universal in 2013. Ronan Farrow worked with NBC News for several months in 2017 to break the news of the Harvey Weinstein investigation. Executives like NBC News president Noah Oppenheim issued repeated instructions to stand down, effectively killing the story. Farrow then took it to The New Yorker and broke the story there. Days later, Fox News host Tucker Carlson lambasted Oppenheim and NBC for their corruption.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. The downfall of Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein essentially complete tonight. The allegations are far too numerous to ignore. He's been fired from his own company. Now he's apparently in some kind of rehab facility talking about himself while the NYPD investigates criminal charges against him. Whatever happens next, you pretty much know what Harvey Weinstein's Wikipedia entry is going to say 20 years from now. But the larger Weinstein saga is just beginning. Many powerful people knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing and not only ignored his crimes, but actively took his side against his many victims. It's a long list, but at the very top of that list is NBC News. NBC had this story months ago. Their former anchor Ronan Farrow conclusively exposed more than a dozen allegations against Weinstein by women who say he sexually harassed, groped, even raped them. But the network killed that investigation. Now, NBC News president Noah Oppenheim says the company had good reason for doing that. But did the company have good reason? Trace Gallagher has taken a very close look at this question, and he joins us tonight with an answer. Trace?
Tucker, NBC News has gone on the record saying the reason it decided not to run the Ronan Farrow story on Harvey Weinstein is because he didn't have enough reporting to go on the air. Well, now a number of outlets, including the Daily Beast and Huffington Post, are refuting that, saying that Farrow began reporting on the Harvey Weinstein story back in January, and by July, he had interviewed at least 8 Weinstein accusers and had also secured the coveted New York police audio tape of Weinstein admitting he groped a 22-year-old Italian model. Listen.
Yesterday you touched my wrist.
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in.
Then in August, a woman who accused Weinstein of raping her agreed to an on-camera interview as long as she was in silhouette and not identified. The Huffington Post says not only did NBC News refuse to provide a camera crew for the interview, it tried to stop the interview altogether and tried to stop Farrow from reporting on the story altogether. So Farrow paid for the camera crew himself. NBC says the opposite, quoting, Ronan very understandably wanted to keep forging ahead, so we didn't want to stand in his way, and he took it to the New Yorker and did a ton more extraordinary work. But a dozen people inside and outside NBC reportedly claim NBC slow-walked the story and ran it up the corporate chain. Not just news president Andy Lack, but all the way up to NBC Universal CEO Steve Burke, something news employees called unprecedented. In fact, some told the HuffPost that Weinstein's attorneys trying to kill the story and NBC News appeared to be synonymous. And it should be noted that last week, when the New York Times first broke the story, both CBS and ABC ran it during their evening newscasts. NBC did not, saying Weinstein was not a nationally recognized figure. The same excuse was used for pulling a Weinstein skit from Saturday Night Live. Tucker.
Thanks, Trace. So let's be clear. NBC is lying. Yesterday, News Division head Noah Oppenheim claimed NBC, quote, encouraged Farrow to report that story. The opposite is true. They pressured him to drop it. Oppenheim says, quote, NBC gave him resources to report that story over many, many months. Maybe, except for a camera crew when Farrow tried to interview an alleged rape victim. Oppenheim says Farrow's stories, quote, was not the story that we were looking at when we made our judgment. Yet another lie. As Farrow told Rachel Maddow 2 nights ago, he'd finished the bulk of his reporting on Weinstein when he went to the New Yorker. That's why the magazine accepted his piece in the first place.
Why did you end up reporting this story for the New Yorker and not for NBC News?
Look, you would have to ask NBC and NBC executives about the details of that story. I'm not going to comment on any news organization's story that they, did or didn't run.
NBC says that, you didn't, that the story wasn't publishable, that it wasn't ready to go by the time that you brought it to them. But obviously it's ready to go by the time you got it into the New Yorker.
I walked into the door at the New Yorker with an explosively reportable piece that should have been public earlier, and immediately, obviously, the New Yorker recognized that, and it is not accurate to say that it was not reportable. In fact, there were multiple determinations that it was reportable at NBC.
We'd bet money that her employer didn't want Rachel Maddow to do that segment, but she did it anyway. Good for her. So why did a purported news organization kill a blockbuster news story? Well, presumably, we will find out at some point. This is a scandal, and the truth has a way of emerging from those in the end. One possible explanation is Noah Oppenheim. In addition to being the head of NBC News, Oppenheim is a Hollywood screenwriter with deep ties to the movie business and to the Democratic Party establishment. Could it be that Oppenheim had a business relationship with Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein's company? It's not a far-fetched possibility at all. And yet, as of earlier today, Oppenheim and NBC, when asked directly, refused to say. Noah Oppenheim ought to resign immediately, and if he doesn't, he ought to be fired immediately by NBC's parent company, Comcast. News executives are not allowed to tell lies. They're not allowed to participate in cover-ups. They ought to answer straightforward questions straightforwardly. When they don't, you know they're corrupt, and that's exactly what NBC News is.
Noah Oppenheim survived the scandal and stayed on as president of NBC News until January of 2023. But the New York Times and New Yorker exposés on Harvey Weinstein in October 2017 were seminal events in what evolved into the #MeToo movement. Activist Tarana Burke had created the Me Too movement in 2006 as a youth program for junior and high school students with the goal of addressing sexual violence in the community. Me Too reached the masses just days after the Harvey Weinstein scandal broke on October 15th of 2017. Alyssa Milano, Rose McGowan's co-star on the TV show Charmed, shared a tweet which read, quote, "Me Too, suggested by a friend. If all the women who have been sexually harassed or assaulted wrote Me Too as a status, we might give people a sense of the magnitude of the problem," end quote. Milano added to the tweet, quote, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too as a reply to this tweet," end quote. Within 24 hours, Milano's post generated thousands of replies, comments, and retweets and inspired thousands more original posts on social media. Proponents of the hashtag used the slogan Me Too as a widespread battle cry for those seeking to show that sexual harassment is not an isolated incident, nor is sexual assault rare. Opponents argued it encouraged a rush to judgment or cancel culture, with accusations leading to professional consequences before evidence or trials. #MeToo led to Time's Up, a nonprofit organization founded in January of 2018 by female Hollywood celebrities. Time's Up raised money to support victims of sexual harassment and engaged in activism, including encouraging women at the 75th Golden Globe Awards to wear black in solidarity for the victims. Before Me Too exploded, cracks had already started to appear in Hollywood's shiny veneer. After Woody Allen was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2014 Golden Globes, his son, or possibly Frank Sinatra's son, Ronan Farrow tweeted, quote, "Missed the Woody Allen tribute. Did they put the part where a woman publicly confirmed he molested her at age 7 before or after Annie Hall?" End quote. Ronan's sister Dylan Farrow published an open letter the following month via Nicholas Kristof's New York Times blog. In it, Dylan detailed her allegations of child sexual abuse by Woody Allen, and she criticized the media in Hollywood for their treatment of Allen. This sparked renewed debates, op-eds, and coverage. Woody Allen responded with a New York Times op-ed in which he again denied the claims, citing prior investigations as evidence of his innocence. On May 11th of 2016, Ronan Farrow published a guest column in The Hollywood Reporter titled, "My Father, Woody Allen, and the Dangers of Questions Unasked." Ronan criticized the media for protecting powerful men and expressed his support for his sister's allegations. Dylan and Ronan's siblings, Moses and Soon-Yi, jumped into the mix with essays/interviews of their own. The two defended Woody Allen and claimed that their mother, Mia Farrow, had in fact been the abusive parent. In June of 2018, Dylan Farrow shared her story in an interview with CBS News reporter Gayle King.
I want to show my face and tell my story. I want to speak out, literally.
Dylan Farrow is 32 and has been married for almost 8 years. She's a mother of a 16-month-old girl, and she's still carrying the emotional scars she said she got at the hands of her father.
I loved my father. I respected him. He was my hero. And that doesn't obviously take away from what he did, but it does make the betrayal and the hurt that much more intense.
Let's go to August 4th, 1992. And if you could tell us what happened that day.
I was taken to a small attic crawl space in my mother's country house in Connecticut by my father. He instructed me to lay down on my stomach and play with my brother's toy train that was set up. And he sat behind me in the doorway. And as I played with the toy train, I was sexually assaulted. As a 7-year-old, I would have said he touched my private parts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
Which I did say.
All right, all right.
As a 32-year-old, he touched my labia and my vulva with his finger.
Where was your mother?
She went shopping that day.
And then after you told her, what happened?
She was upset. My first impulse was that I had done something wrong.
Mia Farrow took Dylan to the pediatrician, but when the doctor asked her where she had been touched, the little girl pointed to her shoulder.
She said, "Why didn't you tell the doctor what you told me?" And I told her that I was embarrassed. And then we went back in.
You went back in and then you told him?
And I told the doctor.
The same thing that you had told your mother?
Yes.
Allen had suggested that Dylan changed her story because she had been coached by her mother. Months earlier, Mia had found in his apartment nude pictures of her daughter, Soon-Yi, whom she had adopted during an earlier marriage. Allen confessed to an affair with Soon-Yi. The two remain a couple to this day, married for more than 20 years. You could see why he might make that claim. He would say that she was filled with rage after his affair with Soon-Yi had been discovered, and that she was out for revenge and full of rage.
And what I don't understand is, how is this crazy story of me being brainwashed and coached more believable than what I'm saying about being sexually assaulted by my father?
Because your mother was very angry, so that she would try to coach you and try to get you to turn against your father.
Except every step of the way, my mother has only encouraged me to tell the truth. She's never coached me.
I wanted to play a clip from 60 Minutes, an interview that he did at the time, where he was asked about that incident. Are you okay with looking at it? You okay?
Isn't it illogical that I'm going to, at the height of a very bitter, acrimonious custody fight, drive up to Connecticut, where nobody likes me in the house. I'm a house full of enemies. I mean, Mia was so enraged at me, and she had gotten all the kids to be angry at me, that I'm going to drive up there and suddenly, on visitation, pick this moment in my life to become a child molester. It's just incredible. If I wanted to be a child molester, I had many opportunities in the past. I could have quietly made a custody settlement with Mia in some way and done it in the future. I mean, you know, it's so insane.
What do you say to that?
I'm really sorry.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize.
I thought I could handle it.
Are you crying because of what he said or seeing him? What is upsetting you?
He's lying, and he's been lying for so long. And it is difficult for me to see him and to hear his voice. I'm sorry.
Alan had adopted Dylan and her 13-year-old brother Moses the previous December. The couple also had a younger son, Ronan. But as Mia Farrow's boyfriend, Alan had been a part of Dylan's life since she was a baby. Dylan says that the incident in the attic wasn't the only time his behavior had been inappropriate. What would he do?
He would follow me around. He was always touching me, cuddling me, and if I ever said, you know, like, I want to go off by myself, he wouldn't let me.
Some could say that's a very doting and loving father.
Except he wasn't this way with Ronan.
What else would he do?
He often asked me to get into bed with him when he had only his underwear on, and sometimes when only I had my underwear on.
Woody Allen was the first of many powerful media figures whose curated images would shatter over the course of the Me Too movement. In October of 2014, Hannibal Buress went viral for a stand-up routine in which he called comedian Bill Cosby a rapist.
Bill Cosby has the fucking smuggest old black man public persona that I hate. This kid's on TV. Pull your pants up, black people. I was on TV in the 80s. I can talk down to you because I had a successful sitcom. Yeah, but you rape women, Bill Cosby, so kind of brings you down a couple notches. I don't curse on stage, but yeah, you're a rapist, so it'll take you saying lots of motherfuckers on Bill Cosby himself if you weren't a rapist. For the most part, it's fucking public Teflon image. I've done this bit on stage, and people don't believe. People think I'm making it up. I'm like, Bill Cosby, there's a lot of rape allegations. No, you do. That shit is upsetting. If you didn't know about it, trust me. When you leave here, Google Bill Cosby rape. It's not funny. This shit has more results than Hannibal Buress.
Allegations against Cosby date back to the 1960s. These allegations include claims of drug-facilitated sexual assault by numerous women and a 2005 civil lawsuit by Andrea Constand settled in 2006. After Buress brought renewed attention to Bill Cosby's crimes, criminal charges were filed in December of 2015 related to Constand. A 2017 trial ended in a mistrial, but Cosby was later convicted. He was imprisoned until the conviction was vacated in June of 2021 on the grounds that his 5th and 14th Amendment due process rights had been violated. Roger Ailes, the former chairman and CEO of Fox News, faced allegations that led to his resignation in July of 2016. Former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against him on July 6th of 2016, claiming he subjected her to severe and persistent sexual harassment, including explicit demands for a sexual relationship in exchange for career advancement. The suit triggered an internal investigation and a flood of additional claims. More than 20 women, including on-air personalities like Megyn Kelly, came forward with similar accounts of harassment spanning decades. Ailes denied all allegations. Fox News settled Carlson's suit for roughly $20 million, and Ailes was forced out. He died on May 18, 2017, due to a subdural hematoma that was aggravated by his hemophilia, a medical condition in which the body's ability to produce blood clots is impaired. A later 2023 lawsuit by former employee Laura Loon alleged even more severe, long-term, coerced sexual abuse. Loon's allegations included forced oral sex, sadomasochistic acts, and blackmail with explicit videos referring to her as his sex slave. Bill O'Reilly, the former top-rated Fox News host, was fired in April of 2017 after multiple sexual harassment settlements became public. A 2017 New York Times investigation revealed that O'Reilly and or 21st Century Fox had paid approximately $13 million to settle claims with at least 5 women. The claims covered allegations of repeated unwanted advances, explicit phone calls and texts about sex, propositions tied to career help, and other inappropriate behavior. One notable earlier case was a 2004 lawsuit by former producer Andrea Macris, who accused him of graphic, unwanted sexual discussions, and she claimed to have recordings. A much larger $32 million settlement was later disclosed in January of 2017. At least 6 women ultimately came forward publicly or through settlements. O'Reilly consistently denied the claims as unfounded or extortionate. The revelations caused dozens of advertisers to boycott his show, leading to O'Reilly being forced out by Fox News. On October 7, 2016, 1 month before the presidential election, The Washington Post released a bombshell video and article. The recording showed presidential candidate Donald Trump and television host Billy Bush having a lewd conversation about women in September of 2005. Trump and Bush were recorded on hot mics on an Access Hollywood bus, a show owned by NBC Universal, which Billy Bush then co-anchored. Trump was preparing to appear in an episode of the NBC soap opera Days of Our Lives. In the video, Trump described his attempt to seduce a married woman, Nancy O'Dell. Trump further indicated that he might start kissing Ariane Zucker, an actress from Days of Our Lives that he and Bush were about to meet.
You know, and
She used to be very, she's still very beautiful.
I moved on her, actually. You know, she was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it.
Whoa.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
It's huge news there.
No, Nancy.
Yeah.
No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. In the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald has scored!
Whoa!
Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out of your legs.
Sets this up. That is very
Will you give me the thumbs
Look
up?
at you. You are a
You gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
first?
Yeah, let me.
It's very
You
fun.
gotta give me the thumbs up.
All right, you and I will walk there.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her.
Yeah, that's her, with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Look at those legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof, get out of the way, honey. That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
There's a little down below. Pull the hand.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
Mr. Trump, how
nice
are
seeing
you?
you.
Pleasure to
Terrific.
meet you.
Terrific. You know Billy Bush?
How are you?
Nice to see you. How you doing,
Very
Ariane?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Are you ready to be a soap star?
We're ready. Let's go. Make me a soap star.
How about a little hug for the Donald? He just got off the
Would
bus.
you like a little
Okay,
hug, darling?
absolutely.
How about a
Melania
little
said
hug
this
for the
was
bushy?
okay.
I just got off the bus.
Oh, bushy, bushy.
There we go. Excellent. Well,
Come
you've
on.
got a nice co-star here.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
After you. Come on, Billy. Don't be shy.
As soon as a beautiful woman shows up, he takes
Get over
off
here,
on
Billy.
This always happens.
I'm sorry, come here.
Let the little guy in here. Come
Yeah,
on.
let the little guy in. How you feel now, better? I should actually
It's
be
hard to
in the
walk
middle.
next to a guy like
Here, wait,
this.
hold on.
Yeah, you get in the middle. There we go.
Good. That's
This
better.
is much better. This is.
That's better.
Now, if you had to choose, honestly, between one of us, me or the Donald, who
I
would it
don't
be?
know. That's
That's
tough
some pressure
competition.
right
Yeah.
Seriously, when you had to take one of us as a date.
You have to take a fifth on that one.
Really?
Yep, I'll take both.
Which way?
Make it right. Here we go. Goodbye. Right in the days.
Here he goes. I'm gonna leave you here.
Okay.
Get my microphone.
Okay. You're gonna. Oh, you're finished?
You're my man. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna go do our show.
Oh, you want to reset? Okay.
Billy Bush was forced to resign from The Today Show, another show owned by NBC Universal, which he hosted when the tape was released. However, one question that NBC never answered was, how did the Washington Post get the tape from NBC Comcast? Why didn't NBC investigate how an 11-year-old proprietary tape that impacted a presidential election somehow made its way to a competing news outlet? Were they concerned about the fact that in California it's illegal to tape people without their knowledge? And you don't think there could be some insidious connection between the mainstream media and the Democratic National Committee, do you? Candidate Trump released a statement in response to the Access Hollywood tape, which read, quote, "This was locker room banter, a private conversation that took place many years ago. Bill Clinton has said far worse to me on the golf course, not even close. I apologize if anyone was offended." End quote. The Access Hollywood tape did not stop Donald Trump from winning the election that November. Trump's victory was supported by another scandal that broke against his opponent Hillary Clinton just about 30 minutes after the Access Hollywood tape was made public. WikiLeaks released the emails of John Podesta, Clinton's presidential campaign chairman. The ensuing presidential scandal was an absolute bombshell and informed voters that Hillary Rodham Clinton also had sexual deviancies in her closet. Like Anthony Weiner's laptop, Hillary Clinton fucking hates being asked about Pizzagate while under oath. But more on that later in the series. Roy Price, the former head of Amazon Studios who had launched Amazon Video, faced sexual harassment allegations that led to his suspension and resignation in October of 2017. The primary public claim came from Issa Hackett, executive producer of Amazon's hit series The Man in the High Castle. Issa Hackett is the daughter of author Philip K. Dick, whose work is the basis for The Man in the High Castle. In a July 2015 incident at Comic-Con in San Diego, Hackett alleged that after a promotional dinner, Price repeatedly propositioned her during a taxi ride to an Amazon staff party. Price told her, quote, "You will love my dick," and continued harassing her despite Hackett making it clear that she was a lesbian with a wife and children. At the party itself, Hackett said Price shouted, "Anal sex," in her direction while she was speaking with others. Hackett also accused Price of ignoring her when actress Rose McGowan privately told him about being sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. No criminal charges were ever filed, and there were no public lawsuits or large settlements disclosed. Price has denied the allegations, later describing the taxi party episode as a failed attempt at humor or spicy banter that was misconstrued. He argued that #MeToo applied disproportionate consequences compared to more severe cases. Hackett has stood by her account. Price's exit triggered management shakeups at Amazon Studios, and Price has not held a prominent entertainment industry role ever since. Charlie Rose was a veteran journalist and longtime host of the PBS show named after him. Rose was also the co-anchor of CBS's This Morning until he was fired by CBS News, PBS, and Bloomberg on November 21st of 2017. This was one day after the Washington Post published a report in which 8 women, employees or aspiring employees of his shows, accused him of sexual misconduct. The allegations describe a pattern of unwanted sexual advances, groping, lewd phone calls, and instances of Rose walking naked or in an open bathrobe in front of women while they worked for him. The reported incidents spanned from the late 1990s to 2011. A May 2018 follow-up Washington Post investigation revealed at least 27 additional accusers, bringing the total to roughly 35 women, with claims dating back as far as 1976 and as recently as 2017. Some women reported that CBS managers had been warned about Rose's behavior as early as 1986. The expanded accounts included more serious allegations such as genital exposure and repeated physical groping. Rose responded with a public statement expressing embarrassment and apologizing for inappropriate behavior and insensitive actions. He maintained that he had believed some encounters involved shared feelings and disputed the accuracy of all claims. CBS, PBS, and Bloomberg immediately severed ties, and his shows were pulled from the air. Subsequent civil lawsuits followed. In 2018, 3 former employees, Catherine Brooks Harris, Sidney McNeil, and Yu-Ching Chelsea Wei, sued Rose and CBS. They alleged repeated sexual harassment, touching, and retaliation. CBS settled with the women in late 2018, and the case against Rose personally continued until it was settled in November of 2024. In 2019, his longtime makeup artist Gina Riggi sued him, describing his studio as a sexual hunting ground and accusing him of creating a toxic environment of groping and physical abuse. No criminal charges were filed. Charlie Rose largely withdrew from public life after 2017. 8 months after Charlie Rose was fired by CBS, the media giant's chairman and CEO Les Moonves was accused of sexual misconduct. Ronan Farrow broke a story for The New Yorker that 6 women had accused him of harassment and intimidation, while dozens more described abuse at CBS. In September 2018, he stepped down as chairman. Matt Lauer, the longtime co-host of NBC's Today Show, was fired by NBC on November 29, 2017. The network received a detailed complaint of inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. The primary allegation came from former NBC producer Brooke Nevels, who said Lauer anally raped her in his hotel room during the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics while she was intoxicated and unable to consent. She reported saying no multiple times and described additional non-consensual acts in a complicated, ongoing relationship. NBC's internal review found the claims credible and uncovered other accusations from women, including Lauer exposing himself in his office, sending a sex toy with an explicit note, and inviting women to his hotel room during late-night work trips. Lauer maintained that any sexual encounters were consensual and expressed regret for hurting people, but denied non-consensual acts. He was terminated within hours of the initial complaint and has not returned to television. Critics of NBC News' decision to kill Ronan Farrow's Harvey Weinstein expose alleged management had been influenced by their knowledge of Lauer's indiscretions and their desire to protect the network from blowback. NBC went on to fire Mark Halperin, MSNBC and NBC News' most prominent political analyst, after 5 women told CNN he had been harassing or assaulting women in the workplace. Days later, NBC fired Matt Zimmerman, the senior vice president of bookings at the Today Show, for sleeping with 2 of his subordinates. Less than a month after Lauer's story broke, multiple outlets reported that the network had paid an assistant producer $40,000 in 1999 after she raised a verbal harassment allegation against Chris Matthews, one of MSNBC's biggest stars. Additionally, news broke that 3 women had accused journalist Tom Brokaw of unwanted advances many years earlier. In February of 2020, Harvey Weinstein was found guilty for the rape of former actress Jessica Mann and a criminal sex act in the first degree for forcing oral sex on the former Project One runway production assistant Miriam Haley. The conviction took place in New York, and Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison. The following year, he was extradited to Los Angeles and found guilty of 3 additional felonies, adding 16 years to his sentence. The New York case was later overturned on appeal in 2024, but at retrial, he was again convicted of his criminal sex act against Miriam Haley. Weinstein's 3rd trial of Mann's rape case ended in another mistrial in May of 2026. Manhattan prosecutors under District Attorney Alvin Bragg have a court hearing scheduled for June 24, 2026 to announce their decision as to whether or not they will pursue a 4th trial against Weinstein. Weinstein's Los Angeles conviction is on appeal as of June 2026. During the trials, it came out that Harvey Weinstein's genitals are as vile as he is. One of the women accusing Weinstein of sexual assault described his penis as disgusting and said in court it looked like it had been chopped off and sewn back on. "I didn't really see a full sack. I literally just saw a penis," said Jane Doe 2. Weinstein has deformed genitalia because of a bacterial infection known as Fournier's gangrene. The prosecutor said that because of this infection, his testicles were actually taken from his scrotum and put into his inner thighs. Gross. In December of 2017, Meryl Streep responded to the Weinstein accusations by calling his actions the most gargantuan example of disrespect pervading all industries. Rose McGowan responded to Streep by saying, "No, Meryl, it's a fucking crime." McGowan continued in a series of now-deleted tweets, quote, "Actresses like Meryl Streep, who happily worked for the Pig Monster, are wearing black at the Golden Globes in a silent protest. Your silence is the problem. You'll accept a fake award breathlessly and affect no real change. I despise your hypocrisy. Maybe you should all wear Marchesa," end quote. The Pig Monster referred to Harvey Weinstein. Marchesa was a fashion line co-founded by his then-estranged wife, Georgina Chapman. McGowan would later claim that it was literally impossible that Meryl Streep didn't know about Weinstein's alleged behavior before the claims became public. McGowan levied the same accusation against Hillary Clinton. A guerrilla artist would post an image around Los Angeles showing Streep and Weinstein huddled together. The image featured a slash of red paint over Streep's eyes, bearing the words, "She knew." The Grand Dame / Golden Calf of Hollywood Babylon replied to McGowan. Streep issued a public statement which read, quote, It hurts to be attacked by Rose McGowan in banner headlines this weekend. But I wanted to let her know I did not know about Weinstein's crimes. Not in the 90s when he attacked her, or through subsequent decades when he proceeded to attack others. I wasn't deliberately silent. I didn't know. I don't tacitly approve of rape. I didn't know. I don't like young women being insulted. I didn't know this was happening. I don't know where Harvey lives, nor has he ever been to my home. I have never in my life been invited to his hotel room. I have been to his office once for a meeting with Wes Craven for Music of the Heart in 1998. H.W. distributed movies I made with other people. H.W. was not a filmmaker. He was often a producer, primarily a marketer of films made by other people. Some of them great, some not great. But not every actor, actress, and director who made films that H.W. distributed knew he abused women or that he raped Rose in the 90s. Other women before and others after, until after they told us. We did not know that women's silence was purchased by him and his enablers. H.W. needed us not to know this because our association with him brought him credibility and ability to lure young, aspiring women into circumstances where they would be hurt. He needed me much more than I needed him, and he made sure I didn't know. Apparently, he hired ex-Mossad operators to protect this information from becoming public. Rose and the scores of other victims of these powerful, moneyed, ruthless men face an adversary for whom winning at any and all costs is the only acceptable outcome. That's why a large defense fund for victims is currently being assembled, to which hundreds of good-hearted people in our business will contribute to bring down the bastards and help victims fight this scourge within. Rose assumed and broadcast something untrue about me, and I wanted to let her know the truth. Through friends who know her, I got my phone number to her the minute I read the headlines. I sat by that phone all day yesterday and this morning, hoping to express both my deep respect for her and others' bravery in exposing the monsters among us, and my sympathy for the untold ongoing pain she suffers. No one can bring back what entitled bosses like Bill O'Reilly, Roger Ailes, and H.W. took from the women who endured attacks on their bodies and their ability to make a living. And I hoped that she would give me a hearing. She did not, but I hope she reads this. I am truly sorry she sees me as an adversary, because we are both, together with all the women in our business, standing in this defiance of the same implacable foe. A status quo that wants so badly to return to the battle days, the old days where women were used, abused, and refused entry into the decision-making top levels of the industry. That's where the cover-ups convene. Those rooms must be disinfected and integrated before anything even begins to change." End quote. McGowan was a pivotal player in the #MeToo movement. In October of 2016, she first implied she'd been raped by Harvey Weinstein with a string of tweets. Quote, "A female criminal attorney said because I'd done a sex scene in a film, I would never win against the studio head. #WhyWomenDon'tReport. Because it's an open secret in Hollywood/media and they shamed me while adulating my rapist. #WhyWomenDon'tReport. Because my ex sold our movie to my rapist for distribution. #WhyWomenDon'tReport. It's time for some goddamned honesty in this world." McGowan had settled with Weinstein for $100,000 after the alleged rape, signing away her right to sue Weinstein. However, the settlement did not include a non-disclosure agreement preventing her from discussing it. In the fall of 2016, as journalists at the New York Times and NBC began investigating Weinstein's sexual harassment and assault of actresses and employees, Weinstein turned to private intelligence firms for damage control. He hired Black Cube, an Israeli company founded in 2010. Black Cube is staffed largely by former Mossad, Israeli Defense Force, and other intelligence operatives. It markets itself for business and litigation challenges, using tactics like social engineering and undercover work. Israeli journalists reported that Weinstein had been connected to Black Cube by former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. Attorney David Boies of Boies Schiller Flexner signed contracts with Black Cube on behalf of Weinstein. A key contract dated July 11, 2017, explicitly tasked Black Cube with two main goals. First, gathering intelligence to completely stop the publication of a new negative article in a leading New York newspaper, the forthcoming New York Times expose, And 2, obtaining additional content of a book which is currently being written and includes harmful negative information on and about the client. This referred to Rose McGowan's memoir Brave, in which she planned to detail her allegation that Weinstein raped her in 1997. Black Cube used multiple false identities to approach McGowan directly and to extract information. The main operative, Stella Pechenak, aliases Diana Phillip or Anna, was a Bosnian-born former Israeli Air Force officer who had converted to Judaism and worked for Black Cube. She posed as Diana Phillip, deputy head of sustainable and responsible investments at a fabricated London wealth management firm called Rubin Capital Partners. The company and its website were invented as a cover. In May of 2017, Phillip contacted McGowan through her literary agent, offering $60,000 to speak at a Women in Focus gala on workplace discrimination against women. They met at least 4 times between May and October of 2017. Phillip built rapport by discussing women's empowerment, offering to invest in McGowan's production company, and expressing solidarity. McGowan, who was wary of strangers, eventually confided details about her Weinstein allegation, her conversations with Ronan Farrow, and portions of her unpublished book. Phillip secretly recorded hours of these conversations, producing over 100 pages of transcripts delivered to Weinstein's team. In at least one meeting, McGowan read aloud excerpts from her manuscript. Phillip also tried to insert herself into McGowan's circle by emailing Farrow and probing for more intel. On the very day Farrow's New Yorker story was published, October 10th of 2017, Phillip emailed McGowan, "Hi, love. Just wanted to tell you how brave I think you are." Ronan Farrow's November 6, 2017 New Yorker article, Harvey Weinstein's Army of Spies, revealed the operation, including contracts, recording, and false identities. Black Cube issued a public apology shortly thereafter, saying it regretted taking the job. In October of 2019, Rose McGowan filed a federal racketeering lawsuit in California against Harvey Weinstein, David Boies, attorney Lisa Bloom, their firms, and Black Cube. She alleged a conspiracy to invade her privacy, illegally record her, steal her book manuscript, discredit her, and silence her allegations. Her suit claimed the following: that Weinstein raped her in 1997 and paid her to stay silent at the Sundance Film Festival. Weinstein summoned McGowan to his hotel room under the pretense of work and raped her. She signed a settlement and tried to move on, unaware that she was not his only victim. Since 2001, that Boies performed reputation management work for Weinstein, including killing negative stories, including a 2002 New Yorker article, and discrediting accusers. Boies' firm and film investments benefited financially from the relationship. In 2016, McGowan announced her memoir Brave to expose Hollywood misogyny. She tweeted on June 2nd, "You are officially on notice. My book is called Brave, and I am here to settle a score." And on October 13th, referenced an open secret about her rapist with the hashtag #WhyWomenDon'tReport. Days after McGowan's October 2016 tweets, Weinstein had Boies hire Black Cube on October 24th for $200,000 with bonuses to silence accusers. A $100,000 wire transfer followed on October 28th. Black Cube, known for its aggressive tactics, sent operatives like Anna to deceive reporters. Amazon Studios, linked to Weinstein, bought McGowan's TV script for Children of God about the cult in which McGowan had been raised. After she told executive Roy Price about the rape, the project was then killed. Weinstein also obtained a secret recording of damaging statements about McGowan via a National Enquirer subcontractor. In December of 2016, Bloom pitched Weinstein to discredit McGowan. Bloom received $1 million plus a book option deal and joined Boies and Black Cube to oversee operations. In January of 2017, McGowan's wallet was allegedly planted with drugs, leading to 2018 charges she attributes to Weinstein. She later pled no contest after her attorney switched to represent Weinstein. Black Cube agents, including Diana Phillip, posing as a women's rights investor, and journalist Seth Freeman, met McGowan in California, recorded her without consent, and stole manuscript pages from Brave. They also targeted journalists Ronan Farrow of The New Yorker and Jodi Kantor of The New York Times. Black Cube surveilled journalists in McGowan. Weinstein offered her $1 million bribe to drop the book and threatened McGowan. He also leaked her drug charges early. In October of 2017, Weinstein and Bloom gave dossiers to reporters to discredit McGowan. The New York Times and The New Yorker published exposés revealing Weinstein's tactics, and McGowan learned that she had been recorded. McGowan canceled her Brave book tour due to a mental health breakdown caused by the trauma. Weinstein's actions caused economic losses, lost opportunities and legal fees, severe mental health harm, including PTSD and depression, and career damage. McGowan had to sell her home and relocate. Why would former Israeli intelligence operatives run covert operations against survivors of rape on behalf of sexual predators? I thought Israel was our greatest ally. Weinstein publicly disputed McGowan's rape claim. Her suit was dismissed in full by a federal judge in December of 2021, but it underscored the extent of the alleged scheme. In January of 2026, Rose McGowan joined the We Need to Talk podcast. McGowan described how she strategically used the media to increase exposure of the Harvey Weinstein scandal.
What the allegations were against children of God are not bad. They're a lot of these are horrific. But the way that you're describing what's happening to you in Hollywood, you could argue it's just as horrific. You know, it's similar to a cult. You know, as we started to describe the characteristics of a cult, and especially when I was looking at it, charismatic, manipulation, coercion, etc. So I see the parallels. I see it, and you now find yourself in yet again another one.
So then I'm on a Tarantino movie, and it was very much that.
Okay.
That's when it was like I was on that set, and I would just be seeing things, and like, or just like, ugh, the arrogance and I just was like, it was almost like this alarm was going off in my head, and it was like me trying to get back into me, and it was like, wake up. And I would be take breaks, you know, be sitting there between camera setups, and it'd be like this alarm, and I was just like kind of like so zombied at that point. It was like, wake up, you hate this, wake up, you don't like this, wake up. And I was like, and then, you know, I went through a few years after that where I woke up, and when I woke up, I think, to years and years suppressed anger, and very much exactly as you did, put it together that this was far worse than the cult I grew up in. And the thing is, movements don't happen in a vacuum. It's like now all of a sudden you wake up one day and like, what? Like there has to be events and someone like really shaking the power structure from the ground. My thing, I even trademarked it, called the cultural reset.
The cultural reset. Okay.
I just thought, and I'd always thought my thing was I want to glitch the matrix. I want to disrupt the timeline somehow, some way. But I knew I had to bide my time. And
but gosh, talk about time. So is that 20 years? Over 20 years.
And he's, you know, over 20 years. So then I played, at that point, the stories with NBC and the New York Times. And for 1 year, I'm managing, like helping the New York Times find sources, women to talk, getting them documents, playing. And for quite a while, I knew what I know is like top male egos at the top of media empires. So I played these two guys in a war with each other, because I knew nobody's going to be like, you know, we need to do the right thing and help out society. No, but I can get them in a pissing contest, and then I can get them too deep into it, invested in it, that they can't back out. And the way I did it was, for 2 years in advance of talking to them, I started making things go viral every 3 weeks. And how I would do it is I would write an open letter, dear Hollywood, dear this company, dear this, dear whatever it was. And I would basically do this, and I would publish it on Twitter. And within the night, it would go viral in the US, then it would hit Europe, then it would go to Asia and circle back around. And what it really was me rattling the cage of the power structure. And they were like, what the? And it was really someone from inside the hen house.
Yes.
It was very planned. And at that point, what happened was they're really running with the Trump grab them by the pussy all over the media. And I thought, this is a good time. They've painted themselves as so like upright, and all the people in Hollywood were just up in arms about Trump and like the audio tape. And I was like, oh, you think that's bad? I didn't know, like, you know, the level of the other stuff there or wherever either. But I was like, oh, you think that's really bad? Guess what? Okay, so I was doing all these things simultaneously, setting up the strategy, setting up the structure, pretending I had a massive army. It was just me, my crazy ass smoking a joint at night, being like, like, oh, and just pushing it through. Next thing I know, I'm the poster girl for a movement that I was like, well, okay. I thought it was a communication tool. I've always been language based. I was like, oh, that's cool. There's never been a good way to talk about this before. You don't have to get drunk and get sad and say something to somebody. And you could just say, did this happen to you and me too? Okay, now I know the level of your pain and what you've been through. Now we can just move on with our life. We don't have to go deep into it. I thought as a communication tool, this is genius. There's a company called E, and they produced the Kardashians show at that time. That was on them. And I thought, oh, counter programming. I'll get the Kardashian producers to produce a documentary on me. And the way I sold it was I went there and I was like, in 3 weeks, I have a book, an album called Planet 9. This is coming out. I'm giving a major speech here and this and that. I didn't tell them what it was. They never would have agreed. And they were like, oh my God, amazing. And the next thing they know, they're basically in real time shooting this documentary we titled Citizen Rose. It's on Amazon. And in real time, this whole situation unfolding. Okay. And I just kind of knew I needed someone as well as possible to document it because there was no way that I could, it was just.
Yeah, it was
insane.
That's the best word to describe.
Insane.
It's insane.
It was insane. Cut to months later. I they have me replace Senator Bernie Sanders as the keynote speech. People are like, why is he opening the women's march convention in Detroit? So they got me. I had to give this giant speech that's televised globally. They've scrubbed a lot of it from the internet. Okay. As they do. So as I step on stage, I'm like, what are you going to do? I went and I just like this portal lifted off my head and I gave a speech that was so intense, so off the cuff. I had these 20 or 30,000 women standing on their feet with their entire fists raised in the air. And then by the time I was in the car, breaking news, Rose McGowan being going to be arrested on drug charges. She had cocaine in her wallet. I was like, I smoked a lot of weed. And I've certainly done that, but not on that plane, not to there, not that day. Why would I? Anyway, beyond that, I was like, the fuck? And so it was kind of like this, lift it up and cut it down. I saw the kind of whole orchestration. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So he was on trial. At the same time, I was on trial. And so it turned out and what was weird was that I'd already done a movie set like in a courthouse. I'd already been in that seat. I'd already said these lines. But now it's for real. The lawyer that I paid all this money to disappeared the day before I had to appear because he was, all of it. So I hired this small town attorney from across the street. It just felt like this entire, again, like that, a farce. Like everybody there, every single person in there at the highest level, 99.9% paid off to be there and do this. So we're all acting. They're all acting.
What were you facing? What was the criminal?
10 years.
10 years.
So I'm in this courthouse and I'm just like, and I actually at that point, I had wanted to look like, I just left my body. It was, and it was this small voice inside of me that just said, can someone call cut? Can someone just say cut? Because I was like, this is all theater. Can someone just please say cut?
Yeah. And this is so profound because this is happening simultaneous to
someone who is, as I can 1,000 people like, did somebody verify it? I'm like, my body verified it. I was there. Yeah. They were there.
Right.
And nobody would endure it. Like, and so many of that narrative. She's doing it to get famous. I'm like, bitch, I was famous. What the hell are you talking about?
In the case, in your court case, what then happens?
I wear this really sick jacket.
Okay.
Archival. Mugler from the 80s. These kind of power shoulders. It's like kind of fuchsia pink. And it has these like slashes in it, like a panther cut it. And the buttons are like like kind of like a panther's claws.
Yes.
And I was like, let's go, bitches. And they let this bitch go. I don't know what it was. It basically, I had to sign something that said, yes, I'm guilty, but I'm not guilty. I don't know but the small town lawyer did better for me than the guy that ran off with $200K.
Look at that.
And so a lot of times I get judged by like, she said something like this during this period, or she said something like that. I'm like, I was obviously imperfect. I don't know who could have navigated all that with no real help. Everybody that I was working with that was taking money from me or making money from anything I was doing was like verified later as being like double agents with him and his group. That it was not just him, it was like all the people at the highest levels. The woman that was one of the biggest women's rights lawyers in California, a very famous one, her daughter, whom I've never met, who represented all these women going after CEOs for this or that, these poor women that get ensnared by them. And then she was secretly working with him to destroy me in the media, like the document that she sent him to audition for the job, if you will.
Look at this.
I know the Rose McGowans of this world, something like I'll be only so happy to destroy her type, paraphrasing. Wild.
Back in 2018, Ronan Farrow interviewed McGowan during her book tour. Farrow and McGowan discussed the idiosyncrasies of their lives and the impact of their Harvey Weinstein reporting.
Thanks for doing this, Rose.
Thank you for doing this, Ronan.
And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. Thank you for waiting. We're so worth it.
You have had quite a year and quite a life, Rose McGowan. It's an understatement.
And a two, Brutus.
There are some commonalities.
Writing this book, I went through, as you know, writing a book, if you want to keep sanity, I can't recommend ever writing a book. I now understand all these things about writers that I didn't previously quite get. I also now understand why people don't launch 3 massive enterprises on one day with a giant social enterprise going on behind.
Yes, admittedly, most writers don't have, Mossad agents chasing them, former ones anyway, trying to get portions of your manuscript.
Successfully.
Well, it certainly appears that at the very least, we were able to report in the New Yorker that transcripts describing the manuscript in detail were delivered back to your alleged attacker. What was it like after so many years of being disbelieved, waking up, seeing things like that in print, having the conversation change in a way where people actually accepted what you had been saying for so long?
Well, I think a lot still fight it, Ronan, you see, because people don't like, I don't understand this. If someone's really just trying to stop either a pedophile or a rapist, that seems like, you wouldn't be able to assort the world's most talented lawyers like David Boyce and Charles Harder. You would think they'd want to steer clear of something as ugly as that, but no. In fact, they lean in. It mystifies me that if someone's only sole motivation is to make the world better, I have like people coming at me, you're profiting off the Me Too movement. First of all,
you feel you are telling a story.
I worked at this for 3 years. I worked for 20 years to bring this man down.
And I will say,
strategically,
Rose was telling this story to reporters much earlier than this was public. So that is certainly the case, and a lot of this flows from those conversations. There were a lot of brave people who came forward, but you did early on do work that was instrumental in setting this in motion. So, for those who have come forward, anyone in the audience who this resonated with and who has stepped out of the shadows with a story about sexual harassment or assault, she did that in a climate where it was very, very difficult, as any of you who have those experiences understand, to do that. You did that alone, as far as I could tell.
Yes. I decided to embark on a social reengineering project because why not? I was bored. I thought people were quite stupid and maybe they could be better.
So even when we look at that initial body of reporting, I really do feel you have to owe Rose a significant debt of gratitude and credit for creating that story, because many of the women you just mentioned went on the record at a time when you were, for all those months of the NBC reporting, on the record. And they knew that someone had come first. And then many of them were talking to you in the months after.
That's why I let it go for so long.
Yeah.
We're just talking about this now for the first time, working it out together. That was, it was kind of like doing weird undercover work or something.
What do you mean by that? With reporters
right
that were doing
word.
undercover work?
It's not the right word. Playing two news organizations that are very powerful off each other's, you know, dicey business at best.
Did you have, talking about that journey of playing, as you say, you know, making news organizations your pawn to get this story out in the right way? So,
well, because so many people would try to break it. David Carr of the New York Times,
yes.
the most excellent.
And I did an article about the intimidation a lot of those reporters faced.
Yeah. Well, I also wouldn't talk to him. I said, it's not time. Public, it wasn't just, you know, I talk to anybody though. That's the thing. People would come and sit next to me at a dinner and I'd be like, oh, and I would throw it out there because I knew someday if I threw stones, somebody was going to help somebody, and that somebody was you.
Thank you, Rose. Well, applaud for the women who came forward, because the way it ended up playing was, look, there is a before and after in each of these stories, and it is about people going on the record, which can be, as you know, the most difficult decision of a lifetime. It's a decision for many women to be defined by the thing they least want to be defined by.
It's in your obituary for all time.
Right, so you can imagine staring that down, and in the case of a powerful alleged attacker like this, you are dealing with the potential for massive repercussions for your life. The kind of infiltration into your life that you saw. But I guess, because you raised it, that complicated saga of you being on the record that long and then falling out of the story, then coming back into the story, it raises an interesting larger thematic question for me, which is, there are people who react to the periods of silence, the years and years of silence before, the strategic periods of bowing out of stories and coming back in, and have said publicly, well, why not earlier? Why didn't you share the story? Do you have feelings of guilt about not sharing the story earlier?
Because
there were other
people
women
that say that, I think, are also stupid. And I'm bored of that.
Say more.
I don't really care anymore. I mean, the thing is...
Let me reframe the question in a better light.
Please.
This is the kernel of a fair point, I think, is in that.
Okay.
In the periods of silence, there were other women who claimed that they were attacked. Do you ever feel, at any time on any day, conflicted about the fact that you hadn't spoken? Because I've talked to women who said, I wish I was more.
It was the first day that I did, and the head manager at my agency said, God damn it, I just had an expose about him killed at the LA Times. He owes it to me not to do this. This is 1997. I tried. Who was going to believe me, Ronan? Who? This society? You? No. Come on. The only perfect rape victim is a dead rape victim, and that is a fact, and we all know it. Oh, we're so sad for her. She's dead. Oh, but other than that, and I love it when, you took a payout. I didn't take a payout. I demanded it. It was my only way of saying, F you, I don't want this, I don't like this, and I tried to buy a billboard. Gannett Outdoors did not go for Harvey Weinstein as a rapist on Sunset Boulevard. I'm truly shocked.
People are tremendously quick to judge, and I think
But I don't come from their world, so I don't care.
There's a lack of understanding about the complexities of coming forward with this issue. Now, but also, especially, and even more so, 20 years ago.
The lack of nuance in people's minds is staggering. And that's not my fault.
Seems like an uncontroversial statement.
It's not my fault. It's like, don't make your khaki pleated pants brain my problem. The thing is, you guys see these people on your TV, you become friends with them, you like them, they're affable. They couldn't do this, right? Bill Cosby, he's America's dad. No, he's not. He's America's #1 rapist. Get it right. And the thing is, you have to be willing to make your heroes better. I'm not saying the heroes should necessarily fall, but they have to be better.
The role of hero worship in this entire phenomenon and this conversation is fascinating. Because if you look at the reaction to those Cosby stories, many of those women were viciously smeared.
Ugh.
And it was not that many years ago, but I remember reporting on this, and the tenor was much more, but hey, what about his art? And look at what he contributed to comedy and to race in the conversation.
I bet you've heard
about
those
race.
arguments a lot too, haven't you, in your life?
I may be familiar with some of those arguments.
They're so dull, aren't they?
You know, look, I would say if there is a credible allegation of sexual assault, you know, the conversation about art can continue, but it is separate and it should not preclude the discussion of a rape allegation. Yeah. That tends to be my view.
You know, if someone gives a restaurant a bad Yelp review or has a C on its health grade, do you go in there? Even if the food looks pretty. I don't want that food in my mind. I don't want that food in my body. No thanks, you don't get a say. Because for every one of these guys that's fallen, I know so many more. I could have probably destroyed the known universe in that ecosystem, okay? But I don't care because they're all ideas, they're constructs. Each one is literally just a corporation to me.
There was a chain of events, and a lot of those events began to emerge around the time frame you were talking about. The Cosby accusers came forward.
Yes.
My sister came forward with an allegation against a powerful man. After that, there was the Roger Ailes story and the Bill O'Reilly story, and on and on and on. Now, that climate was very different. We talked about the reaction the Cosby accusers got.
It wasn't time yet.
What changed?
Anger. The permission to have a voice and be like, it changed. It changed also, I think Trump was so, I think it was for liberal men finally being like, oh, this is what that is? Yes, that's what that is. Yep.
One of the most interesting...
And it became hard to lie about to themselves. It became so obvious, and it became so blatant. It became such obvious, you know, a crime, that it helped reframe. And so 3 years ago, you know, pre-Trump, but I knew, I could still see it, like what changed, you know, that's like the whole misnomer with the Time magazine, the silence breakers. Shut up. You just took your damn earplugs out, or rather, I kicked them out of your head. You listened. I've always been talking. We have always been talking collectively. Women have been talking.
You mentioned that Time magazine cover, and you've been very outspoken in your criticism of the Time's Up movement and the kind of mainstream manifestation of this conversation and some of the women in it. I mean, when you look at a cover of Ashley Judd and Alyssa Milano and some of these women who, you know, were in that Time magazine spread.
I think it's owned by the Koch brothers, and I don't really care.
Say it one more time?
It's owned by the Koch brothers, Time magazine.
And you think that that's editorially linked to the...
No, not maybe. I don't know. There's a glaring omission, but I was very happy about it. I think there's something that's protecting me. That was not the question. The question is, how do I feel? Great.
Yeah.
Good. Fine. That's not it. The thing with Time's Up, it's a great slogan. The point of it is great. I agree. Time is up. You're boring. Stop. The problem I have is that it's 4 CIA agents behind it, okay? Who I have publicly accused of being human traffickers. Because they are.
Finally, to clear the air on another thing that you may or may not think you need to explain further, but you've gotten a lot of press in recent days for, you know, and in recent months, a succession of criticism of some of the other women who have purported to be a part of this movement. Meryl Streep initially, now more recently you said of Alyssa Milano, your former co-star. I don't like her. She's a lie.
So?
Well, maybe...
Is that not my prerogative?
It is completely your prerogative. I'm just asking here and now.
I
do you
also
regret
don't like
those
turnips.
statements?
No.
You are absolutely entitled not to like Alyssa Milano. I just wondered if there's anything you
I
wanna
should be
add.
shiny and nice, so People Magazine, who works with Citric PR and Sunshine PR, who does PR for The Monster, and Georgina Chapman, and I believe her, and she's married to a CIA agent. Okay? No.
All right.
No.
Not backing down. We have it on
Why
the record.
would I?
Having gotten to know you through the reporting over the past year, I'm grateful that you have that ferocity. I think there's certainly no denying your contribution to the reporting, but more than that, there's very little denying your contribution to the conversation and how historic what you've done has been.
I just want people to have a conversation.
Thank you, Rose.
In this interview, Rose McGowan emphasized her distrust of her former co-star Alyssa Milano. Her reasons include that Milano's husband, David Bugliari, is an agent for CAA. Why would that be an issue for McGowan? We'll return to this question later in the series. Since the beginning of the Me Too movement, Ronan Farrow has continued to expose Hollywood's pedophiles. Rose McGowan persevered against her abusers, and the pig monster was convicted of rape and sexual assault. And just like Rose McGowan, Annika Lucas survived a childhood in a cult before exposing her predators as an adult. More on that when we return in part 2 with Annika Lucas and the Rothschild-Rockefeller Nexus of Evil.
Shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, look. I'll shut it down like a trunk getting closed. And they ain't on this level, bro, you really not close. Even in the summer, told them that it's so froze. Not talking about bass when I say I get low. I've been trying to get more, now I'm stacking my accounts. Saw going stupid, yeah, the numbers in the mouse. Heard them going quiet, so I turn it up loud. And they saying they ain't feel it, but they bout to feel it now. Need another check going extra. And I got a gas, no Tesla. Said I need a mil, no less, bruh. I ain't seen it yet, so I might go request ya. They been taking shots, need your best now. Seen them all talking while they chest out. Too much going, got them stressed now. And they see me winning, told them why you so upset now. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, look. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, look. I told them once that I could shut it down. Seen them all fly when I'm riding through the town. When I shoot my shot, told them they ain't no bounce. Like a ball on the court, dog, I told them all bounce. They ain't really see what this about. Say my life a movie, nope, I told them get out. Throwing Jordan pills, now they tripping on the ground. It's at 1, 2, 3, now they out for the count. Yeah, and I need it all, no splits. Told them me and you, dog, we don't really mix. They ain't seeing nothing till they all seeing this. Then they jaw on the floor, this is real as it gets. This going down like the trunk of my car. Don't wanna smoke, bro, I take it too far. Tell me take it easy, now I'm going too hard. It's a high jump now, how I go and raise the bar like I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, look. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, yeah. I'll shut it down, I'll shut it down, look.
That's why we're going to burn these pieces of shit to the fucking ground. Straight up.